Valley University. Kirk's widow, Erica, has taken over running his Turning Point USA organization and tells Fox News Sunday she's determined to carry on the Conservatives' legacy.
We're going to be back on campus. We're going to continue prove me wrongs on the quad. We're not afraid.
On Wall Street, stock futures are mixed, up slightly for the Dow, down for the NASDAQ ahead of the last 3 trading days of the year. On Sunday Night Football, the 49ers keep rolling. San Francisco beat Chicago 42-38 for a 6th straight win, keeping pace with the Seahawks, who also extended their win streak to 6.
Handoff, Charbonnet rips through for the touchdown.
Now, Seattle beat Carolina 27-10 on CBS to set up 2 games for division titles next week. The Seahawks will play the 49ers for the NFC West. The Panthers will face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the NFC South. Cleveland upset Pittsburgh 13-6, so the Steelers have to play the Baltimore Ravens in the final week of the season with the AFC North title on the line. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Are you prepared for the Illinois estate tax? If your estate is worth over $4 million, your heirs could face a tax bill of up to 16% when you pass. Financial advisor Scott Tucker and the team at Scott Tucker Solutions can show you ways to potentially reduce or even eliminate that burden. One strategy is to start gifting assets during your lifetime to lower the taxable value of your estate. Another option is setting up irrevocable trusts, which can shield wealth from estate taxes. Charitable donations and life insurance policies can also be smart tools to offset tax liabilities. Call Scott Tucker and the Scott Tucker Solutions team now, 847-474-3888, or go to 560retirement.com. That's 847-474-3888, or go to 560retirement.com. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Firm may not give tax advice.
Don't get stuck with a cold shower this winter. Give CenterGuard Plumbing a call. Get a new 40-gallon water heater installed for just $1,195 for standard installation, or a 50-gallon heater for $1,295 standard installation. A proud new sponsor of AM 560, CenterGuard is offering specials on new water heaters. Old man winter is here. Don't get stuck in the cold. And the same can happen to your water heater. If you're having hot water issues or your water heater's over 8 years old, take advantage of this winter special today. CenterGuard Plumbing is Chicagoland's same-day water heater experts. Call before noon and they can schedule your repair or install the same day on in-stock water heaters. They'll even haul away your old one, no charge. You're only a text away from install today. Call 847-406-8883. Mention AM 560 to receive winter special pricing. That's 847-406-8883. Call or text 847-406-8883 or visit CenterGuardPlumbing.com.
Hey there, Chicagoland. Jeff here from Jeff Buys Your House. For many homeowners, winter can feel overwhelming. There's big bills, unexpected situations, or the stress of owning a home you no longer want. But here's the good news. You don't need to wait for warmer weather to make a change. At Jeff Buys Your House, we make selling simple. Even in the heart of winter, you don't need to fix anything, do any cleaning, and you certainly don't need to worry about unpredictable buyers. We buy houses as is, and you choose the closing date that works best for you. We've made the home selling process easy and stress-free for nearly 2 decades. That's why homeowners trust us, and why we've earned over 400 Google reviews and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. As a veteran-owned business, we handle everything with integrity and care. So if winter is weighing on you, we are here to help lighten the load. Call us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com and get your offer today.
As a local business owner, you get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
Open enrollment is going great. We're hitting record numbers. Thank you so much for this report. It really is amazing to see how the marketing is really shaping our enrollment around the city.
Salem Surround. Is your business hard to find online? Meet with a digital marketer today for ideas that will make your business stand out. Visit salemsurround.com.
Larry Elder wants facts in the argument.
It just drives me crazy whenever there is a mass shooting and the immediate call for people to, on the left, to demand more gun control. Never, even on Fox, do you hear somebody say, well, let's also consider how often Americans use guns to save lives, themselves or others, or bodily injury. It just seems to me that should be relevant.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's December 29th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is TikTok Day. It has nothing to do with the social media app. TikTok Day was created to remind all of us about the importance of completing any task that we have not finished before the calendar turns to the new year. The annexation of the Republic of Texas by the United States is approved by the U.S. Congress on this day in 1845, sparking the Mexican War because land between the Rio Grande and the Nueces River was disputed territory. In 2015, Guinea was declared free of Ebola by the World Health Organization. Born on this day in 1936, American actress Mary Tyler Moore, best known for her roles on two iconic TV sitcoms, The Dick Van Dyke Show and The Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Come on, what is
Dad, really, it's nothing.
Come on.
No.
Come on.
No.
Get ripped.
I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
Wealth Health Radio. The biggest fears that people have is, do I have enough money to retire?
Retirement doesn't have to be complicated.
To make sure that you're going through retirement with confidence.
Learn principles of income planning.
There's a lot of different facets that you need to take into consideration when you're retiring.
Tune into Wealth Health Radio with Joe Murphy, noon to 1 p.m. Sundays on AM 560, The Answer.
You've seen pictures of the rugged fjords of Norway. Now, you can experience them for yourself. Alistair Begg invites you on a remarkable cruise to the Netherlands and Norway, September 5th through the 12th, 2026. You'll sail through breathtaking fjords where towering cliffs, cascading waterfalls, and glassy waters reflect God's splendor, while basking in the luxury of a first-rate travel experience, complete with elegant cuisine aboard Holland America's majestic cruise ship, the Statendam. One of the stops will be the village of Oda, surrounded by waterfalls and soaring peaks with a stunning glacier. Oda's breathtaking landscapes and quiet atmosphere offer a refreshing pause in your journey through this land of ancient history. Cabins are limited, so call today, 855-565-5519, 855-565-5519, or log on to deeperfaithcruise.com.
Your local State Farm agent Anthony DeGrotto combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
It's hard to find a nursing home where Christ-centered care is provided. For over 130 years, Lutheran Life has served the needs of seniors at the Lutheran Home in Arlington Heights. With chaplains on full-time duty, the Lutheran Home provides spiritual support as your loved ones confront the hard realities of aging. Our nurses will care for your bodies, and our chaplains will care for your souls. Find out how by visiting LutheranLifeCommunities.org today. That's LutheranLifeCommunities.org.
You need a construction company, but who?
Paul Preston.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roof, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be mostly cloudy, windy, and significantly colder. We can expect periods of snow in the morning, accumulating a coating to an inch with a few flurries in the afternoon. Heavier snow showers could make roads slippery and reduce visibility quickly. The high temperature for today will be 26. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This hourly segment is brought to you by HealthQuest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Kroc and for Dan Proft. 312-642-5600 is our number. 312-642-5600. So, over the weekend, and I hope you had a fantastic Christmas. Looking forward to New Year's, of course, aren't we all? What's very interesting is to see a simple 23-year-old man, young man named Nick Shirley, who is a journalist who just shows up in a hoodie and jeans with a little handheld microphone. Yeah, just a little tiny little thing. It looks like he's just some schmo. I think that's the whole angle. Do your job, investigate stuff, look like a schmo so you're less intimidating. Citizen journalism at its finest. So this guy finds a Minnesota-based sleuth, a man who apparently has been investigating Somali fraud in Minneapolis, St. Paul, in the state of Minnesota for several years, raising a lot of awareness and such, but very few people, if any, paying attention to what he does, paying attention to what he's dug up. They're just ignoring it. Until this young man goes and does a 42-minute video. And somehow it went on Friday at some point, starting to show up on most people's feeds on social media, to blowing up over the weekend to where you literally can't avoid it anymore. This young man was featured on Fox News a whole bunch over the weekend, including excerpts of his reporting. He went to a whole bunch of supposedly owned and run daycare facilities who are taking millions upon millions of dollars at each location. One place has taken in $4 million and billing for, child care through a program in Minnesota where they're supposed to have like 99 kids that are being taken care of at a daycare facility. You show up there, the sign on the front of the door, above the door, says Learing Center, Learing, instead of Learning Center. They cannot even spell. The doors are locked, they're blacked out, nobody's in there. He goes on and on and on to these different Somali-owned daycare facilities that are billing for millions and millions of dollars. And either no one's there, or they refuse to open the door and come out, or if they do, they cover their faces and they yell and they slam the door and lock it shut. These places are supposed to have, 60, 70, 80, 100 kids in them, and there's nobody there. And they went in the middle of the day on a weekday to all these different places. It's amazing. And I got to think here, one place alone, Minnesota Representative Congressman Tom Emmer writes on one of them, $4 million of hard-earned tax dollars going to an education center that can't even spell learning correctly. Here's some of that audio from journalist Nick Shirley and then Fox News commenting after.
So this is Quality Learning Center. I meant to say Quality Learning Center. We've arrived to ABC Learning Center. All the windows are blacked out. I would like to check a child in the daycare. Why? Can I speak to a manager? I would like to see if I could bring little Joey, my son little Joey here. Is there paperwork or can I check out the daycare?
You got $2.66 million this year in funding and $2.5 million last year. We're just wondering where the kids are.
Hello, we'd like to ask where the money's going.
Wow. You're right.
So
that
good.
was the old good journalism. By the way, Fox Digital reached out to that learning center to try and, get a statement from them. And apparently the number doesn't even work. So we did not get a response there.
Some of these people, some of these Somalians, after Nick Shirley, this journalist you're hearing about, after he was over there, some of them were hunting him down. Some were in cars following him, intimidating him, all because he just showed up and pretended like he had a son he wanted to enroll in the daycare, and nobody was there. Over and over again. I think he went to dozens. This statistic was released from Fox News over the weekend in all this coverage. 86% of Somali immigrants are on welfare versus 30% of Native Americans. Just to give you an example from Fox News over the weekend, that's what they said. 86% of Somali immigrants are on welfare versus 30% of Native Americans, to give you a stark contrast. So one of the questions I'll ask you is, should we be importing Somalis into our country when apparently they come from a culture that thrives on corruption and theft? And how far is this going to go? I think obviously the answer is stop Somali immigrants from coming in. I think Donald Trump's done that already. But this fraud is insane, and the Democrat infrastructure, Tim Walz, all they say when you investigate this or try to point it out is the same thing that they have been, the same reason they've been unwilling to call this out openly and go after is because they're afraid of being called racist. So that's exactly what Tim Walz, the unbelievably incompetent governor of the state of Minnesota, says. Listen to this.
So this is what happens when your own federal government wages war against you. This is what happens when they target communities for their own benefit. This is what happens when they scapegoat. And this is what happens when they no longer hide the idea of white supremacy, when you hear the Vice President of the United States talk about now white people won't have to apologize for being white. That's never happened once in my whole damn life. And I think everybody in this room knows what they're doing. So we're here today to say enough of this. We're here today to stand that Minnesota will protect their neighbors.
All right, so there he is throwing out the racist smokescreen garbage. Here's a real telltale sign that Tim Walz is in big trouble. When he comes out and says the same thing, the same type of thing that Joe Biden said about the border when we were being flooded with millions and millions of illegals year after year for 4 years. What did Joe Biden say? Remember that? I can't do anything. I've done everything I can. We need Congress to pass a bill. Comprehensive immigration reform, which is amnesty. Tim Walz does the same thing. He says, his spokesperson says when Fox News Digital called about this video, this guy, this 23-year-old kid's video is going to be the end of Tim Walz. That's what I really think. I think Tim Walz is going to withdraw his name he's going for an unprecedented third term as Minnesota's governor, and I think he's going to pull out because I think it's that bad. And if he doesn't, he's going to get massively rejected at the polls. Listen to this. A spokesperson for Walz told Fox News the governor has worked for years to crack down on fraud and asked the state legislature for more authority to take aggressive action. Yes. Just like Joe Biden, he says, I need the state legislature to give me more authority. No, you don't. There's 480 Minnesota state employees who have this Twitter account and have spoken out in news reports, too. They said, we have been warning you. We've had whistleblowers stand up about Governor Walz. We've been warning you. We've had whistleblowers stand up and go to you and go to your regulators, and you guys shut us down at every single chance. Every single time we raise fraud to you, you shut us down. You did this, Tim Walz. I think this guy's empire is going to crumble. I know we all know he's an idiot and he's a fool, but I think this guy's in real big trouble. I think he's in big trouble, at least politically. 312-642-5600 is our number, 312-642-5600. And then there's a great column over the weekend by the Wall Street Journal, A Tale of Two Medicaid States, Minnesota Fraud versus Indiana Reform. Here's some quotations and some other pieces of this editorial. It's a staggering industrial-scale fraud, says the U.S. Assistant Attorney for Minnesota, Joe Thompson. When I look at the claims and the data providers, I see more red flags than I see legitimate providers. If you recall recently, Thompson said he estimates the fraud losses since 2018 could top $9 billion. B as in boy. You have fraud tourism in Minnesota. You got people like these two men from Philadelphia that have been prosecuted. They literally were called by their friends and said, dude, you don't need to live here. You don't need to open an office. Just open up a fake company online and start billing the state of Minnesota. And they did that. And they got millions. Medicaid fraud. Now, if you look at Minnesota's Medicaid spending versus Indiana's and regulations, this is a clear choice. This is a choice. And by the way, there's about 100,000 roughly Somali folks that are in Minnesota. And they are 100% of a Democrat voting bloc. And this is why the Democrats covered it up. This is why the Democrats didn't say anything. Plus, because these Somalians, they're from Africa. They're black. They're afraid to speak out. They don't want to be called racist, and so they let fraud continue and grow to massive scales. Minnesota Medicaid spending surged between 2021 and 2024. Minnesota Medicaid in-home programs surged to $170 million from $4.6 million in 2021. Look at that. We're going to round it up. It went from $5 million in 2021, Minnesota's Medicaid spending on its in-home program, from $5 million to $170 million in 3 years. $5 million to $170 million in 3 years. And nobody did anything about it until the U.S. attorney and this journalist comes out. This is wild. By the way, there's a huge connection a direct connection between how much money the federal government allows student loans to be approved for, how much students can loan compared to the cost of tuition. It's a direct link. John Stossel years ago crunched all the numbers, did a whole piece on this, where for every dollar that was raised for students to be able to borrow, it was almost exactly $1 the tuition increases overall. It's all directly tied to whatever the aid is, whatever the government allows is exactly how much the prices rise. Are you surprised? I'm not. In Indiana, the opposite has happened over the past 3-4 years to fight Medicaid fraud. Indiana has more rigorous eligibility checks that they passed and guardrails to prevent excessive billing. Last week, Indiana said It expects to save $466 million on Medicaid over the next 2 years. Medicaid enrollment in Indiana has declined by 11% thanks to eligibility checks. They barred managed care organizations from advertising to Medicaid patients. Indiana's Medicaid spending is expected to grow 3.2% this year. That's how much their Medicaid spending is going to grow, 3.2%, versus the 9.5% that was forecast. One state, a red state, made testing for eligibility, banned advertising, and is going to save $500 million over the next 2 years, and it's going to grow only 3.2% this year. The other state has industrial-scale fraud, $9 billion alone in Medicaid fraud. Isn't this amazing? So this is a choice. This is an absolute choice, and Minnesota chose to allow, and you remember, to allow Somalians to bilk them and to bilk our federal government off of untold amounts of money. The $9 billion in Medicaid fraud is not including, look at this, not including $250 million fraud scheme stealing from federal food aid meant for vulnerable children. And that's what you were hearing here. It's not the food aid, but you heard the child care stuff. So you got $250 for food aid. That resulted in 78 indictments and 57 convictions. Prosecutors charging defendants in a separate plot to bribe a juror. So one Somali guy that got nailed for this tried to bribe a juror, $120,000. This is literally, we are importing the third freaking world. And when we call this out, when it's exposed, they just say you're a racist. Unbelievable. And by the way, the Trump administration is looking at denaturalization and deportation where eligible, these people, and absolutely get every one of them. And a lot of high-profile politicians like Ilhan Omar seem almost directly linked, if not indirectly linked, to all of these fraudsters, perhaps taking money from them for their campaign. That's another big thing. When you look at some of these campaign people, it says on their donations, it lists a couple of child care facilities on one snippet I saw. Literally the money, $3-4 million going to these different child care facilities each, may be funneling directly back in from the fraud into politicians' campaigns. And the Democrats, well, in Minnesota they're called DFL, Democrat Farmer Labor Party, the Democrats are afraid to say anything because, number one, they will hurt their 100,000 member Somali community that votes reliably Democrat, will hurt donors, and will lose their elections. Let's talk to Eric, who's chimed in at 312-642-5600. Eric, you're on AM 560. The Answer, Chris Kroc in for Dan Proft.
Good morning. I think this fraud runs way deeper than anybody can imagine because, if you want to build a doghouse, you have to go through a permitting process. To open a daycare, you have to have inspections and people certified and stuff. There's got to be a lot of government officials along the line that just either took the payoff and let everything pass. That there needs to be a lot of people jailed, a lot of people deported. This is ridiculous that our tax dollars got to go toward this baloney that keeps going on. Every day it's something new. And what about the 350,000 children that they talked about a few years ago that were trafficked? Did they get trafficked through these daycares? And then now they just shut the doors? It's really, I know that might sound out there, but
no.
These days.
There's so many things going on with the child trafficking. Those 350,000 children that they lost, I think Trump administration has found close to half of them, and that's been a major goal of theirs. But many of them have turned up working overnights in factories. Ben and Jerry's had trafficked illegal children, Joe Biden illegals, working at their factory. I want to say either Walmart or Target, one of them, had illegals working. This is absolutely, that is an absolutely valid point as well. But I got to tell you, I don't think we're going to find the scale of fraud. I don't know if we're ever going to find anything like this from a state with industrial scale, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. They're an industrial level fraud. I mean, this is from every
just like
angle.
the CDL thing. It's nationwide. It's not one location. It's everywhere. There's red and blue, and neither one of them are for you.
I appreciate your call, Eric. 312-642-5600. I have more information, more sound to play from you from this young journalist who just blew up over the weekend with his investigation simply by going to all these different child daycares that are supposedly, billing $3, $4, $5 million a year, helping children in this Minnesota and or federal program or joint program. When he goes there, there's no kids at these daycare facilities. There's barely anybody there. A little bit more on that. Want to hear from you too. And do you think it's over for Tim Walz? I think it is over for him. I think he's grasping at straws to throw out racism stuff and all this bogus BS. 312-642-5600. Also coming up, I want to get into another huge thing that happened. Of course, the Supreme Court smacking down Trump supposedly on the National Guard in Chicago. I'm going to tell you what the real story is, and it's not that. That's all coming up next. Chris Crocken for Dan Proft, AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer. It's news, opinion, and insight at the speed of your life. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
Good morning. It is 48 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. A federal jury in Chicago has convicted a man of laundering cash proceeds from a Mexico-based drug trafficking organization. Prosecutors say David Berger of Chicago and other intermediaries booked and paid for privately chartered jets for the organization to transport millions of dollars in drug proceeds into Mexico after the organization transported wholesale quantities of cocaine from Mexico to sell in the U.S. Berger's sentencing is set for May 12th of next year. Although Illinois drivers are now paying less at the pump, a state lawmaker says prices would be even lower if not for the state's high gas taxes. According to AAA, the average price for a gallon of regular gas in Illinois dipped below $3 a gallon on Friday to $2.99. That's down from $3.27 a month ago. Even with the price drop, Illinois remains the most expensive state in the Midwest for motor fuel. This report is a service of Supershore. Do you own a small business? You need to hear this. A seismic shift is coming. It's time to get Supershore. Not kind of sure, not pretty sure, not a little sure, but super sure. The seismic shift is coming. Super sure coming soon. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but
Mike Gallagher stands up to the bullies.
I think this boils down to recognizing the actual evil that we're facing. It is absolute evil to attack Erica Kirk. There's no gray area here. You want to sit around and attack a grieving widow who just months ago lost her husband. You're rotten to the core. Your soul is gone.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
She's online right now, searching for answers about her unexpected pregnancy. This pregnant mom is scared, alone, and unsure what to do next. She doesn't want an abortion, but choosing life doesn't feel possible either. But there is hope. You can help her see that an abortion isn't the only option when you support Human Coalition. Your gift provides an appointment at a life-affirming pregnancy center where she'll receive a free ultrasound, compassionate care, and the resources she needs to choose life. And when she hears her baby's heartbeat, something powerful happens. Fear turns into courage, and despair turns into hope. For a one-time gift of just $26, you can help the next mom seeking an abortion choose life for her baby. You can save them both from an abortion as you share the love of Christ through your generosity. To give a gift, go to humancoalition.org/life. That's humancoalition.org/life.
Salem News Channel, your go-to source for news and conservative opinion. We reveal how politics hits home, how your family, your freedoms, your way of life are debated, challenged, even regulated. Every day we cut through the noise, pitting nonsense against common sense. On every screen, in every home. Salem News Channel is across America.
Don't risk losing the news, sports, and weather that AM radio delivers. When cell and internet service fail, AM is your lifeline. With time running out, your voice matters. Text AM to 39179 and tell Congress vote yes on the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act to keep AM radio in cars.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
You still thinking job change in the new year? Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy. IT? Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI. That's what I did. Really? How? Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up. Sweet. Are classes online or on campus? Both. Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best, better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be mostly cloudy, windy, and significantly colder. We can expect periods of snow in the morning, accumulating a coating to an inch, with a few flurries later in the afternoon. Be cautious, as any heavier snow showers could swiftly create slippery road conditions and reduce visibility. The high temperature for today will be 26 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment brought to you by Unleash Your Wealth with Raj Shah and Rick Borick this Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. Learn more at scwealthadvisors.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Hello, we'd like to ask where the money's going. What do you guys think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
I don't think anybody is enabling fraud to happen.
Hold Governor Walz accountable for this.
What was this money spent on? 1.26 million. What was that money spent on? There aren't any kids.
Answer the question. Are there children? There's no children inside this building. Potentially the largest fraud scandal in U.S. history is taking place in Minnesota, as literally billions of dollars have been funneled through Somali-ran fraudulent businesses. So much fraud, it could actually almost replace the entire GDP of Somalia.
How about that? Almost the entire GDP of Somalia. Importing folks from a country where fraud is, I guess, a way of life, from everything I've heard. So this 23-year-old journalist, Nick Shirley, goes door to door to all these different daycare facilities that are taking in millions and millions of dollars. For example, Minnesota Republican Congressman Tom Emmer says $4 million of hard-earned tax dollars going to an education center that can't even spell learning correctly. The sign says Leering Center instead of Learning Center. We know that the U.S. Attorney for Minnesota, Assistant U.S. Attorney, says this is industrial-scale fraud. We know that they've caught $9 billion of fraud in Medicaid alone. We know the $250 million fraud scheme that stole federal food aid meant for vulnerable children during COVID, Feeding Our Future Network. 78 indictments, 57 convictions. Almost all of them are Somalians. In addition to the $250 million Feed Our Future program fraud for $250 million, that's the one, by the way, where you see these Somalians going to these resorts in the Maldives with these 5-star resorts, and they're getting flown in on seaplanes, and they're bragging to each other how much money they have, buying Porsches or all these exotic cars, buying real estate, multiple homes in places all over the world. That's the first thing that came out. The an X or Twitter account that calls itself Minnesota Staff Fraud Reporting Commentary consists of, according to the feed, 480 Minnesota state staff members writing that Walz is 100%, Tim Walz, governor, 100% responsible for massive fraud in Minnesota. We let Tim Walz know of fraud early on, hoping for a partnership in stopping fraud, but no, we got the opposite response. Tim Walz systematically retaliated against whistleblowers using monitoring, threats, repression, and did his best to discredit fraud reports. On Ilhan Omar, one of her campaign staffers claimed that he served 5,000 meals a day under fake food site called Advanced Athletic Development. He instead pocketed millions, pleaded guilty to fraud in August of this year. On Omar's 2018 and 2020 campaigns, he acted as a quote-unquote enforcer, managing a high-intensity voter mobilization effort in Minneapolis Somali community. This whole thing is a racket. It is fraud, stealing in the hundreds of millions and billions of dollars, circulating through Democrat donations and votes, and coming back around enriching the Somali community. It is a complete circle. I got more, too, from SBA fraud, Small Business Association fraud, and whether it's over for Tim Walz, a great column by the Powerline blog, one of their main founders and authors, John Heindraker. He's going to join us a little bit later on the show at 7:37. Meantime, let's go to your call. Do you think it's over for Tim Walz? And this is unbelievable how bad this is. Let's go to Craig, who's chimed in at 312-642-5600. That's 312-642-5600. By the way, this is Chris Kroc in for Dan Proft. He'll be back after the holidays. Craig, you are on AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Chris. Boy, you are right. You are right over a big old target, and I'll tell you what, it is so much bigger. And here's how I figured it. Obama was in there for 12 years, 8 plus 4.
Right.
So that is a thing. He has been jam loading. And that's why we got all these judges that are all tying up the system with Trump and all this kind of thing. I mean, Obama was putting in all these judges. I mean, but that was just the tip of the iceberg. All this fraud with voting and these voting machines and everything. All of the different people, all of these rotten leftists all over the place that are all jammed in everywhere and everything. They're destroying our country. And Minnesota is just one little canary in the coal mine, so to speak, of what's going on. You talk about Chicago, talk about New York, talk about... You know what I'm saying, Chris?
Yes. Yeah, the amount of fraud and theft is just, it's unbelievable. I mean, I think Minnesota is especially unbelievable because really, outside of the Twin Cities, I did a talk show there for a couple of years, or in the earlier 2000s, and other than Minneapolis, St. Paul, there's the population is minuscule, if you will, compared to other states like the state of Illinois, which, of course, primarily is Chicago population, obviously. So you've got maybe about 3.5 million people in Minneapolis, St. Paul. The rest of the state, maybe you got 1 or 2 million, probably. So, you know what? I mean, this fraud is insane.
Yeah, well, I think that Minnesota is like that, probably specifically because those Somali people, the more you hear about their culture and the way they grew up and all that, these people, we talk about the Somali pirates, take everything. They're all a bunch of pirates. I mean, we got these some Somalians in the government and everything yes. that are basically pretending like they're representing Americans. They're not in there representing Americans. They're in there like they're moles and they're snakes and they're basically supporting their snake relatives and then snake people and everything like that, while they're destroying our American life here.
I appreciate your call, Craig. Thank you very much. And I think absolutely that people like Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar, absolutely. I mean, she married her brother, according to the Daily Mail, to commit marriage fraud so that she could come in and commit fraud to becoming a U.S. citizen. And when she talks, there's several different times they've caught her on speaking in her native tongue, saying that her home is Somalia, and that's her first choice and her first love. But it's okay to come here, obviously, commit fraud to come here, and enrich yourselves and become millionaires, including your husband, for business that's circulated back into his business, and to get money and hang out with people that are defrauding our government of millions and billions of dollars. This includes the SBA, Small Business Administration. Kelly Loeffler, former candidate for governor for Senate in Georgia, is the SBA is the head of the SBA. She said this in a social media post the other day. Today, I informed Governor Tim Walz SBA is halting $5.5 million of annual funding to Minnesota, pending further review. This action follows alarming findings. Individuals indicted in the $1 billion Somali fraud scheme also received $3 million in PPP loans, and SBA since has identified 13,600 additional PPP loans in Minnesota, totaling $430 million suspected as fraudulent, almost exactly $500 million. In Small Business Administration loans. With dozens of investigations underway, Loeffler says, the conclusion is unavoidable. Minnesota cannot be trusted to administer federal tax dollars. Its socialist welfare system has enabled fraud at industrial scale at the expense of honest Americans, and these are the consequences. Let's go to Chris on the Dan Ryan. Chris, you're on AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Kroc in for Dan Proft.
Good morning. Yeah, real quick, I'm just going to take the devil's advocate. I'm not really surprised that this happens. We as a society have memories like a guppy. So in 4 weeks, this is all going to be forgotten, and it will be forgotten, and something will be moved on, and we'll forget all about this. But the corruption will continue to go on. And in Illinois here, we have corruption for the last 40 years. So
yes.
I think that there should be something more done than just, we found it. We should be having public trials and public, people going directly to jail. And I mean, it should be done a little bit swifter than it has been. Just the frustration level here is just crazy. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm going to tell you something else, too. The Trump administration, it couldn't have happened during a better administration because the Trump administration is actively working on denaturalizing and deporting any Somalians who've come in here lawfully and legally, have been here, that are committing fraud or may have been fraudulent as well on their immigration papers. The more we can root out people that are stealing and cheating from our government, the better. And you'll hear leftists say that the Somali community, it's not the Somali community, it's all sorts of communities, but the overwhelming percentage of the fraud that is being found in Minnesota is overwhelmingly going toward against us, is from Somali Americans. I'm going to give those details in just a second. But first, our number again is 312-642-5600. Let's go to Michael. Michael, you're on the south side on AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris in for Dan. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Chris. My best to you and your loved holiday season, and thank you for taking my call.
Thank you. My loved ones, ironically, are in Chicago right now. I was there a few weeks ago, but I had to fill in for a whole bunch of places this time, so I'm staying home, and they're there right now. And they didn't get a white Christmas there like I did when I was there 3 weeks ago. Go ahead.
I understand, yeah. Tim Walz won't be the only casualty in this whole Somali fraud mess. Kamala Harris may go down, too, if she decides to run for president in 2028. She's the one who picked him as her VP candidate, and she'll have a lot of explaining to do if she runs. Because people are going to ask, why didn't you vet him properly?
Yeah, this whole thing is unbelievable. This guy is, I think he's dead man walking unequivocally. I think he's done, Tim Walz, and I think it reflects on how vapid and poor of a decision maker Kamala Harris is. She should have gone with Josh Shapiro, but she didn't want to pick the Jew because she's afraid of the anti-Semitism, and the party would never breach it or mention it, of course. That's who she is. Michael, I appreciate your call this morning. 312-642-5600 is our number. All right, coming up next, I want to give you more details. Two things. Minnesota's lieutenant governor, do you remember her? I'll tell you who she is. I'll remind you. What did she wear in public the other day to express solidarity with the Somali community in Minnesota? It's incredible for a leftist. It's just so incredible what she did to herself to appease the Somalis in Minnesota. And is it over for Tim Walz? Some more specific details about the fraud and how much trouble he's in right now. All that's coming up next. Chris Crock and Dan Proft, AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
When it comes to industrial coating and finishing, cutting corners isn't an option. That's why leading manufacturers across the Midwest trust D&D Industrial Coatings in Racine, Wisconsin. From powder coating and liquid painting to blasting and custom finishing, D&D Industrial delivers top-tier protection and performance, fast, precise, and built to last. With over 40 years of experience, ISO-certified processes, and state-of-the-art lines, D&D handles everything from OEMs and petrochemical to agriculture, marine, construction, medical, and government specs. Family-owned, nationally trusted. Whether it's a short run or high volume, your parts are in expert hands, finished on time and finished right. Visit them today, ddindustrial.net. Again, that's ddindustrial.net. Or call them at 262-637-0686 to get your custom quote today. Again, that's 262-637-0686. D&D Industrial Coatings. Engineered to protect. Finished to impress.
Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Hey Chicagoland, your trusted friend Jeff here from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. Over the past few months, I've shared how our veteran-led team serves Chicagoland homeowners. Today, I want to share with you what your neighbors are saying about working with us. Like Mary in Downers Grove, who wrote, "They listened to my concerns about moving from my home of 30 years and created a timeline that worked for me." Or Tom and Carol Stream, who said, "Their team helped me sort through 40 years of memories with respect and patience." This is why hundreds of your neighbors have given us a 5-star Google review and an A+ rating with the BBB. We don't just buy houses. We help people through life's transitions with understanding and care. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and always on your timeline. Ready to work with the home buying team your neighbors trust? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com.
Want to see if you could pay less in taxes? Try the quick and easy tax calculator at willsave.com. Yes, a free tax calculator. That's WILSAVE.com. Calculate how you could keep more of your hard-earned money and give less to Uncle Sam, especially in retirement. Get your free tax analysis today at willsave.com. And don't forget to tune in to Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman every Saturday morning at 8, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneinc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneinc.com. Tech made personal locally.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. AM 560, The Answer.
Assalamu alaikum. My name's Peggy Flanagan. I am the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, and I'm really honored and humbled to be here with all of you today. I am incredibly clear that the Somali community is part of the fabric of the state of Minnesota.
That is Minnesota Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan. If you remember, she had a press conference and she wore a T-shirt that said "Protect trans kids" that had a knife on it as a threat. Here she is in this, what I just played for you. She is in a hijab, covering herself up as a liberated leftist woman, little by little snuffing out the freedoms that she claims that she has and she supports to appease and hump the leg of the Muslim Somali community. Meantime, is it over for Tim Walz? Great column. We'll talk to him in an hour and a half. John Hinderaker on is it over for Tim Walz? He says there's a very good chance it is over for Tim Walz. He's a local guy there out of Minnesota. J.B. Pritzker, governor of Illinois, is the DFL, Democrat Farmer Labor Party, their number one donor to the Democrats in Minnesota. One daycare facility he mentioned, 90 kids, built $3 million. This is just the very beginning of it. It's WIND Chicago. Chris Kroc in for Dan on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Is there an end in sight to Russia's war in Ukraine? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
It's unresolved, but it's getting a lot closer.
That's what President Trump says after meeting with Ukraine's leader again. This time at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida, saying they've made progress, but there are thorny issues to still work out.
The land you're talking about, some of that land has been taken. Some of that land is maybe up for grabs, but it may be taken over the next period of a number of months.
After the Trump meeting, Zelensky sat down with Fox's Brett Baier and said people in Ukraine want the war over, but also don't want to give up territory to Russia.
87% support peace. At the same time, 85% against to withdraw from East. From the Donbass.
That interview will be on Fox's special report tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern. Before the meeting with Zelensky, President Trump had another phone call with Russian leader Vladimir Putin, who again attacked Ukraine over the weekend with another barrage of drones and missiles. Now, today the president hosts another world leader at Mar-a-Lago, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, discussing the war in Gaza he brokered an end to in October.
They're expected to address Iran and Gaza, with the administration keen on heading to phase 2 of their Gaza peace plan. That includes the creation of an international security force and the disarmament of Hamas. Iran's president, meantime, says they're in a full-fledged war with the U.S., Israel, and Europe, saying they don't want his country to be stable.
China, that's Fox's Madeline Rivera. China is playing war games near Taiwan with military drills around the island it claims is Chinese territory. Taiwan's military on alert, calling China the biggest destroyer of peace. A pilot's in critical condition in New Jersey after the helicopter he was flying in collided in midair with another in Hamilton. This man saw the crash, was in disbelief.
Yeah, you could see him in there. They looked fine. They really looked good.
The other pilot was killed as his helicopter burst into flames on the ground. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning, 15 degrees at Chicago and AM 560 The Answer. I'm John Cruz in the Air Right Heating and Cooling newsroom. Snow showers will continue through mid-morning with a wind advisory throughout the day. Several parts of Illinois recovering from severe storms, including a confirmed tornado near St. Anne. Severe storms causing damage across parts of the area, including Livingston County. Now, the Livingston County Sheriff's Department still assessing the damage, plus another possible tornado reported through Pontiac. As of 6:30 last night, ComEd reported about 1,000 customers still without power due to the storms. Chicago police continue investigating that deadly shooting in downtown on Sunday. CPD responding to the call around 2:30 in the morning on the 400 block of North LaSalle Drive. They say 4 victims were getting into a car when a group of men drove toward them and started shooting. They then took off. A 34-year-old man died from his injuries. 3 others recovering at Northwestern Hospital. Police have no suspects, and Crime Stoppers are offering a $10,000 reward for any information. 1 person dead after a mobile home fire in Marionette Park last night. Firefighters got the call around 7 p.m. in the 11,000 block of South Homan Avenue. There is reports of a possible explosion before the fire. 2 people were treated for smoke inhalation. 1 person was found dead inside the home. The investigation rolls on. Two Joliet teens facing charges after a large fight this weekend at Joliet Mall. According to police, officers were called to the mall just before 6 o'clock on Saturday night for reports of a large fight caused by a group of teens. Multiple fights had broken out, actually, and several dozen teens were involved. 2 male teens were detained and charged with disorderly conduct. And Chicago Christmas tree recycling begins January 3rd. You can drop off your tree at 27 different locations across the city through the 17th of January. But make sure you take off all the lights and ornaments first. The recycled trees will be turned into mulch to be used at Chicago's parks. This report is a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off any service, including inspections, or take advantage of limited-time federal rebates on a new furnace. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today, AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. A check of your roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Scott Jennings sees the left admitting failure.
Big story in the New York Times. Headline, How Biden Ignored Warnings and Lost Americans' Faith on Immigration and Helped Return Donald Trump to the White House. It's amazing to see even the New York Times admitting the failures of Joe Biden on immigration, even though it's a little too late to do anything about it now.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Every morning, across Latin America and the Caribbean, a mother wakes to the sound of her child crying, not from play, but from hunger. She has nothing to give, no breakfast, no clean water, only a prayer that today will somehow be different. You can be the answer to that prayer. Right now, through 560 The Answer and Food for the Poor, your generosity provides what every child deserves: food to eat, clean water to drink, and a future filled with hope. Just $150 gives 2 children life's most basic needs: food and water. $300 helps 4 children survive and thrive. So please, take a moment today to act. Click the blue Give Food, Water, Life banner at 560theanswer.com. That's 560theanswer.com. Because when you give, you're not just feeding a child, you're giving life. Do it now. Click the blue Give Food, Water, Life banner at 560theanswer.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hackburg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. We're starting this cold, windy, and snowy day off with an accident on the Tri-State northbound, the exit ramp to get onto the outbound Eisenhower. There's a crash. Once you're on the Eisenhower, it's 18 minutes in both directions from the old post office to Wolf. Inbound on the Eden from Lake Cook to Montrose is 17 minutes. Outbound is 18. The Kennedy inbound from O'Hare to the Byrne Interchange, 21 minutes. Outbound 28. The Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore, 25 minutes. Outbound is 24. And the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 20 minutes. Outbound is 15. This report is the service of AM 560 Store. Order t-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Prof University and the Sean Thompson Show, when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly cloudy, windy, and significantly colder. We can expect periods of snow in the morning, accumulating a coating to an inch, with a few flurries later in the afternoon. Be cautious, as any heavier snow showers could swiftly create slippery road conditions and reduce visibility. The high temperature for today will be 26 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Crock in for Dan Proft. 312-642-5600 is our number. 312-642-5600. The Supreme Court, over our long Christmas weekend, rules against the Trump administration, and the left is jumping up and down, in particular Governor Pritzker, claiming this is a huge victory for the left. It is not. The decision, and I'll get into the weeds here in a second, the decision isn't saying that President Trump can't call up the military to protect ICE and all the HSI investigators that are going around and cuffing and stuffing illegals with Operation Midway Blitz. That is not what the decision that was made by the Supreme Court was. The decision by the Supreme Court was you cannot call up the National Guard in the instances you're saying, because you need to first, before you call up the National Guard, you need to use regular forces. And what this means is he can call up the Marines, like he did in Los Angeles. He can call up the, for example, 101st Airborne if he wants, to protect our ICE agents. And that's the first remedy that he can do. If that doesn't work, apparently that's when he can call up the National Guard. So this is not a saying that the president cannot call up the military. Let me share with you from one of our guests who's coming up in just about an hour and 20 minutes, John Hinderaker. He's an attorney. He's one of the founders of Powerline blog in Minnesota, and he wrote about this too. And then I also have John Yoo, former Deputy Attorney General in the Bush administration and a UC Berkeley law professor. I like John Yoo. I think he adds a lot of good commentary on Fox News, and he agrees with what I'm about to share with you from Hinderaker. Okay? Hinderaker says in U.S. Code 10 U.S.C. Section 12406, subsection 3, authorizes the president to nationalize and deploy the Guard if he is unable with the regular forces to execute the laws of the United States. Unable with the regular forces. Who are the regular forces is the question. The administration argued reasonably, Hinderaker says, that regular forces means ICE and other non-military law enforcement personnel, but the court says no. Regular forces to the court means the regular forces of the United States military. Since the administration made no showing that the U.S. Army would be unable to keep the peace in Chicago, then this section does not authorize deployment of the Guard. That's why the administration lost in Hinderaker's eyes. But it doesn't mean that President Trump can't use federal troops to aid ICE and suppress violence in cities like Chicago. And then he cites more from the Supreme Court's decision. He says, as noted above, the administration relied only on 10 U.S.C. U.S. Code, Section 12406, subsection 3, and not the Insurrection Act. Okay? In justifying the National Guard deployment, the Insurrection Act broadly authorizes the use of federal troops to maintain order. And any insurrection, domestic violence, unlawful combination, or conspiracy when you can use our militia and armed forces to enforce the federal authority is insurrection, domestic violence, unlawful combination, or conspiracy if it opposes or obstructs the execution of the laws of the United States of America. The right, which obviously the attacks on our ICE officers FBI, all the folks in the field doing this, the duty of rounding up illegals as they're chased, harassed, terrorized, and attacked in Chicago and elsewhere. Continuing on, Hinderaker writes, the riots and violence that have taken place in Chicago and elsewhere, specifically targeting the enforcement of federal laws, cry out for relief under the Insurrection Act. Cities like Chicago have seen domestic violence that opposes or obstructs the immigration laws of the United States. The Insurrection Act, therefore, authorizes the president to use either regular Army forces or the National Guard to maintain order and permit enforcement of our laws. So he also mentions the provision saying if you want to protect federal property, federal personnel, property, and functions, he can deploy regular armed forces without any need to federalize the Guard. And presidents often have. Lots of different reasons why, for desegregating the South, for example, against Governor George Wallace, etc. Okay? So basically, he can call up the Marines, the 101st Airborne, right now, and I think that he has to do this. The insane amounts of attacks on ICE, the politicians and the media, particularly the politicians, lying directly, pretending that things that precipitate these conflicts with ICE and leftists who are blowing their whistles at ICE and trying to stop them, terrorize them, block them, ram into them. It necessitates more coverage, more protection. John Yoo, and by the way, I'll ask you that right now. Do you think Trump should call in the Marines or the 101st Airborne, for example, to protect and guard the ICE officers doing their jobs? I think they should. I think he should. You have incidences like this one. I will never. This happened months ago. You'll remember this for sure. I will never stop playing this when it's appropriate. This is one of the most infamous instances in Chicago where you had ICE was chasing down, I believe it was a known gang member. I think it was a Tren de Aragua member. They were in a chase, and they got into a neighborhood, and they started throwing these thugs came out of the woodwork and started throwing rocks at ICE. And this is live on ABC 7, I believe. Here we go.
Again, when you first got on scene and you were able to talk to some neighbors and some witnesses there on the scene, and describe to us what initially...
Judy, wait 1 second. Okay. I see Chicago police are arriving and putting themselves in the middle of the situation. Oh, God. Protesters are starting to throw rocks. We're going to get away from the scene right now, Judy.
Okay, Michelle, you take care of yourself. I'm going to let her get off the phone. We really appreciate it. Get to a safe place.
Quote, oh my God, they're starting to throw rocks at Chicago police. That's when the tear gas, the party spray, as it were, breaks out. That's where the 15-year-old young kid thug is attacking ICE. And I believe he threw a rock at ICE. And then the lie in the media, particularly from the left and the politicians, was that they disappeared a 15-year-old. No, when a 15-year-old attacks ICE, they're going to cuff him and bring him down to headquarters, cuff him and stuff him. And then after that, whatever happens, happens. You can't attack a federal officer and expect to not get arrested and taken. That's not disappearing people. That's arresting you for assaulting a federal agent. And then, they continue in the Trib and in the Sun-Times to lionize this young thug. And, oh, it's horrible. Look at that. And there is a photographer in the Sun-Times they interviewed about, what's it like? You were in combat before in the military. Now you're a photographer. You're back in combat. What's that like? Oh, it's horrible. Oh, they're rounding up 15-year-olds. So when you have, and then there was another incident right around the same time, within a week or so, where the cops were told, as you know, Chicago police were told to back off, don't help them, stay outside of the neighborhood. That was national insanity, as you know and I know. And so when you have ICE officers who cannot enforce immigration law. I don't care how much the city of Chicago's leftist Democrats and citizens that are leftists hate it and want to stop it and attack it and lie about it. The fact of the matter is you cannot impede enforcement of federal law. And if you want to, then you need to go to jail. And I do not think ICE has free reign to do their jobs properly. And I think it's because the environment that the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago have provided in support and lying and cover for these crazed leftists. So I think it would be wise for Trump to call in the Marines, the 101st Airborne, etc., to accompany and protect ICE. Now, you know how it's been quiet for a little bit, comparatively speaking, since Operation Midway Blitz. I think that, I got to tell you, I think that they're going to have to coordinate with the military. So again, this decision by the Supreme Court is not saying that Trump can't call up the military. It's saying that you can't call up the Guard until you use regular forces. What are regular forces? The Marines, 101st Airborne, etc. John Yoo, former Deputy Attorney General in the Bush administration, says this means that Trump can deploy Marines instead. For example, he says, look, John Yoo said, I'm trying to enforce the laws with ICE agents, with federal law enforcement. I can't do it, so I need to call the National Guard. But the statute says the president has to be unable to enforce a law with regular forces. What does regular forces mean, John Yoo says? We don't know. The Supreme Court has never decided that question before yesterday, he said over the weekend. The Supreme Court now says regular forces means you have to try with regular armed forces first before you can bring out the National Guard. So the unintended consequence here might be that the president is going to have to call the 82nd Airborne of the Marines or the 101st Airborne Division, as, for example, President Eisenhower did after Brown versus the Board of Education in the South to enforce desegregation. Continuing, the Supreme Court is essentially inviting President Trump to send regular armed troops and deploy those to Chicago, Los Angeles, etc., before he can send in the National Guard. I think the governor would rather have the National Guard. Oh, this is great. I think the governor, you said, would rather have the National Guard troops than the 82nd Airborne of the Marine Corps patrolling the streets of Chicago. So I want and I think that Trump should call in Marines, Airborne, 101st Airborne, 82nd Airborne, whatever. Yes. Now. And they should be flanking ICE and DHS agents so that they can buffer and keep these radical leftists and these terrorists back so that federal law can be enforced. That's what I think. What do you think? Should Trump call in the Marines? Should he call in the 82nd Airborne, 101st Airborne? Several lines open at 312-642-5600, 312-642-5600. Let's go to Roger on the south side. Roger, you're on AM 560. The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. And it should say Chris and for Dan. Go ahead, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris and for Dan. I think the bigger issue we have here is these rulings that we're getting from these federal judges down to local judges. I mean, this is one thing after another. They've been throwing stumbling blocks in front of federal law and the Trump administration agenda, and this stuff is not human rights issues. Okay, immigration's very clear. It's very clear. What you have here now is one side that is willing to get this radical to break laws. That's all it comes down to. Should he be able to bring in? Yeah, he should be able to. The fact that we're dealing with these activists who are federal judges due to political connections and stuff like that. It's the same problem we deal with in Cook County here. You've got 465 compromised judges that are going to follow party rule. Otherwise, they know, you know what? They'll gang up on them, and all it takes is 10,000 votes to get a judge out.
Right.
They've got that wrapped up with the black ministers or the ghetto vote or anywhere Frank Lincoln wants to push votes to. But it's ridiculous. I'm surprised that any of these ICE agents have not had to use their firearm. And when that happens, I think we're going to have an explosion.
And not yet in Chicago, but they did have that happen in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and St. Paul the other day last week with one of these. He's a Cuban illegal. They were showing up to cuff and stuff, and he used his vehicle to ram them, and then they shot him. But the question is, so the Supreme Court says you can't call up the National Guard, but regular forces can be called up, and that means he can call up the Marines or the 82nd Airborne, etc. So are you on board? Do you agree with me that the President should be calling up Marines or the 82nd Airborne, etc., to back up our ICE officers?
Yeah, of course, obviously. But I mean, we've got tens of thousands of troops deployed in different areas of the world right now. It's too big of a rabbit hole. But I mean, off the coast of Venezuela, outside of Ukraine, I mean, the fact that, we have to bring active American troops here to defend our own federal agents against Americans, we're getting eaten from the inside here. From the 20% of the weirdo crowd and the oligarchs, because obviously they're funded.
I appreciate your call. Yeah, I think that if the president cannot enforce federal law, which is hard to do in the city of Chicago with ICE, then he has to call these regular forces up. So I think he should. That's just it. I mean, he did it before. Remember, he called up the Marines in Los Angeles. 312-642-5600 is our number. 312-642-5600. This one is huge to me. Coming up next, I want to hit this one. New law requires libraries to carry opioid OD reversal med. This is in the Tribune. Was in the Tribune yesterday. So are our libraries now like homeless centers, homeless shelters, and places for junkies to gather and hang out and overdose? Let's take Rick's call real fast, actually, and explains. Rick, you are on AM 560. The answer, Chris Crock in for Dan Proft. Hi, Rick.
Good morning, Chris in for Dan. How you doing?
Yes, good morning. Thanks.
I'm on board 100% with pulling the big guns out, because if that's the game they want to play with these dumb judges, then we'll play the game. Clean up the crime. I don't go downtown anymore. It's not safe. It needs to be made safe.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you can have our soldiers accompany ICE and just have them create a buffer zone, then you're set. So I guess that's what we're going to have. Not I guess, but that's what we're going to have to do, since we can't call up the guard. So be it, is what I said. I appreciate your call. And by the way, the other thing that was mentioned in all this coverage was Pritzker would be so much better if you had a choice between the Marines or the 101st Airborne, one of those two, versus calling up his National Guard. I think he'd rather have Illinois National Guardsmen before he has Marines or folks with Airborne who are not from Chicagoland, don't live in Chicagoland, called up, because then you got a straight military mission with no connections to the state. And that's the best thing Trump could have. All right, coming up next, I want to hit this one. New law requires libraries to carry opioid OD reversal meds. I have so much to say about this. Are our libraries now places for junkies to hang out and sit there and ride out their high while they have nice free heating or cooling and electricity and bathrooms and a place to charge their phone up at while they overdose? All that's coming up next. It's Chris. It's what happens when liberalism runs the libraries. It's a perfect example of what liberalism does. It's Chris Crock in for Dan Proft. If you want to follow me on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, it's at Chris Crock Show. That's at Chris Crock Show, CHRASKROK. Or follow the podcast on Rumble or YouTube at Crock Talk, KROK, TALK, KROK, TALK. This is AM 560, The Answer. Chris in for Dan on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day. then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hello?
Sir, this is Officer Peterson. There's been a string of break-ins in the area, and your office, it was hit.
Hit? What do you mean? We were robbed?
Looks like the back door lock was easily pried open, and they moved through the building like they knew exactly what to take. We see wires everywhere. No computers.
What? No computers? I just upgraded everything.
Looks like they moved fast. We only found out because a neighboring business had their alarm go off. Do you have any security cameras?
No, nothing.
Don't wait until it's too late. Goldilocks protects Chicagoland businesses with custom security solutions. From reinforced commercial doors with keyless entry to cameras and 24/7 monitoring that alerts authorities immediately. Schedule a free on-site assessment at GoldilocksInc.com. Again, that's GoldilocksInc.com. Plus, AM 560 listeners get their first 3 months of monitoring free with a new install. Call 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Goldilocks, Chicago's premier locksmith, doors, and security systems company since 1981.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Salem News Channel, your go-to source for news and conservative opinion. We reveal how politics hits home, how your family, your freedoms, your way of life are debated, challenged, even regulated. Every day we cut through the noise, pitting nonsense against common sense. On every screen, in every home, Salem News Channel is across America.
82 million Americans rely on AM radio for news, sports, talk, and emergency alerts. But unless Congress acts now, AM could disappear from new cars. Tell lawmakers AM radio matters to you. Text AM to 39179 and urge Congress to pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act before it's too late.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
It's news, opinion, and insight at the speed of your life. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
Good morning. 15 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm John Cruz in the Air Right Heating and Cooling newsroom. Snow showers and blustery conditions continuing throughout the morning. Highs today in the mid-20s. The FAA and NTSB investigating a deadly helicopter crash in South Jersey on Sunday. That mid-air crash happening near Hamilton Airport, 35 miles south of Philadelphia. Hamilton police say one person was killed, another in the hospital with critical injuries. Police still have lots of questions after a bomb threat Sunday afternoon in suburban Westmont. Police investigating the bomb threat there just after 3 p.m. near Burr Oak Drive and Plaza Drive. It's not clear what officials found or who's responsible, but residents still advised to avoid the area. And the Bears, already NFC North champions, but Sunday's last-minute loss to the 49ers sets up a Week 18 critical matchup with the Lions. Now, a Bears win or an Eagles loss would mean the team secures number 2 status and plays the Packers at Soldier Field in the playoffs. This report is a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off any service, including inspections, or take advantage of limited-time federal rebates on a new furnace. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today, AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. A check of your roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Larry Elder wants facts in the argument.
It just drives me crazy whenever there is a mass shooting and the immediate call for people on the left to demand more gun control. Never, even on Fox, do you hear somebody say, well, let's also consider how often Americans use guns to save lives, themselves or others, or bodily injury. It just seems to me that should be relevant.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Ready for some holiday magic? Pack up the family and cruise over to Go-Bert's Farm in Pingree Grove, where 2 incredible Christmas light shows are waiting to light up your night. First up, the Go-Bert's Christmas Drive-Thru Light Show. We're talking millions of lights synchronized to music that'll have you cranking up the volume. Picture this: dancing penguins getting their groove on, snowflakes cascading all around you, reindeer galloping through enchanted fields, plus a dazzling tunnel of lights that's pure Christmas magic. But wait, there's more. The legendary Larson Christmas Light Show, the one everyone's been raving about from Campton Hills, is now right here on the Go-Bert's property. 30 minutes of jaw-dropping lights, spectacular special effects, and surprise character visits that'll make the kids lose their minds with excitement. Here's the best part. You can experience both shows in one epic night. Perfect for families, couples, or even your company party bus. Because yes, limos and party buses are totally welcome. Per vehicle pricing keeps it affordable, but grab your tickets online now because these shows are selling fast. Visit GoBerts.com for tickets, times, and all the details. Go-Bert's Farm, where Christmas dreams come to life.
What if 2026 could be the best year ever for your retirement? It can, when you take control of your financial future with physical precious metals. Call Advantage Gold at 800-741-GOLD right now and get your free gold rollover kit valued at $49, yours just for calling. More Americans than ever are discovering the power of rolling over a portion of their IRA or 401k into physical gold and silver. With a simple, tax and penalty-free rollover, you can add stability, security, and strength to your retirement. In times of inflation, uncertainty, or market swings, gold has been a steady, tangible, proven store of value. And in 2026, it could be the key to building the retirement you've always imagined. That's why so many people trust Advantage Gold, the #1 rated gold IRA company in America for 10 years running. Call 800-741-GOLD to get your free gold rollover kit. Call 800-741-GOLD and let 2026 be the year you finally take control. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-741-GOLD.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hackberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. The weather is causing a big mess out there on the Reagan Memorial eastbound. 3 right lanes are down with a crash at Naperville Road, and then the Tri-State northbound at 147th Street. A crash takes out the right lane. The northbound exit ramp to get off onto the outbound Eisenhower has a crash, and you also have a car fire taking out the right lane, again on the northbound side, just south of the Grand Avenue curve. The Kennedy inbound from O'Hare to the Byrne interchange is 22 minutes, outbound is 29, 18 minutes in both directions on the Eisenhower from Wolf to the old post office. Inbound Stevenson is 32 minutes from the Tri-State to Lakeshore, outbound is 23. This report is the service of AutoZone. Get in the zone, starting stronger, start at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly cloudy, windy, and significantly colder. We can expect periods of snow in the morning, accumulating a coating to an inch with a few flurries in the afternoon. Heavier snow showers could make roads slippery and reduce visibility quickly. The high temperature for today will be 26. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Alpha Wealth Group, bringing the trilogy of estate, tax, and investment planning together. Visit alphawealthgroup.com for a free report.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Yeah! AM 560, The Answer. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, we talked about it in the last hour. We'll talk about it again at 7:30. The journalist, 23-year-old Nick Shirley, busting wide open mass fraud with the Somali community in Minneapolis, St. Paul, this time on daycare centers. He has reached over 100 million views on that investigatory piece he dropped, 42 minutes, going to all these Somali daycare centers that appear to be massive open fraud. One of them that's supposed to have 90 kids, billing $4 million, and nobody's there, other than saying, get out of here, if they even answer the door. So he's now hit 100 million views. I think this is going to take Tim Walz down. And I'm not being overly optimistic, tripping over myself. I'm telling you, I think this is going to take the guy down. It might take another year or so, but I won't be surprised if he drops out of the Minnesota governor's race for his third term. But first, this is great. It's great as in a great talk topic, but it's horrible in what they're doing. New Illinois law requires libraries to carry opioid OD reversal med. So, we need to decide what we're running here. Are we running a library or a facility for junkies to hang out in, where they don't have to pay for electricity, they don't have to pay for heating or cooling, and they can wash themselves in the bathroom? And basically, this is what happens when liberalism invades. When liberalism takes over, it destroys what it tries to help. Now, I frequented, growing up in Chicagoland, I frequented the Arlington Heights Library, and I frequented the library in Wheeling, or as we call it where I'm from, Wheeling, man. Those two libraries are where I cut my teeth growing up in Chicagoland, going to the library, etc., for different reasons, even in my college years. And so this new law that is about to take effect requires every public library in Illinois to have overdose meds for opioid overdoses. Can you imagine you're a kid, you're 12-year-old or 15-year-old kid sitting there at the library doing some research next to some junkie who's passed out. And next thing you know, they administer Narcan so he doesn't die. How would you feel about that? You know, an environment where junkies are welcome. They're literally saying, the Illinois law says you have to take reasonable steps. Every public library in Illinois has to take reasonable steps to make sure there's always a staff member present who's been trained on how to recognize and respond to opioid overdoses. What in God's name is a legit opioid addict doing going into a library? Estimates are, this is from the Chicago Tribune yesterday, Oak Park Library public employees have helped. Oh, this is great. Estimates are that Oak Park public library employees over the last decade have helped save the lives of 20 people who overdosed on opioids. So apparently Oak Park Public Library is like a day center for opioid addicts. 20 lives they've saved over the last 10 years, they say. In some cases, somebody potentially overdosed in the library, called 911. Other instances, staffers administered naloxone, nasal spray that can reverse the effect of opioid overdoses. Opioid abuse among library patrons. This is what I love in the Tribune. Opioid abuse among library patrons, quote unquote, is a real challenge and unfortunate reality, says the Director of Social Services and Public Safety at Oak Park Public Library. I think to have an intervention available on site that can save lives is crucial. So what happens is liberalism will say, we think we have a problem with junkies coming in here. Instead of kicking them out, instead of enforcing the peace and keeping people safe, they're saying, no, we can't turn away our junkie neighbors. No, we need to help them. We need to have like a triage center at every library, like a little hospital. We want opioid addicts, while they're high, to be right next to your child on the computer or looking up stuff under the Dewey Decimal System, etc. And they might be zombied out from being so high. They might get to the point where they're almost dead, but we're there for them. I read a piece that blew my mind about 6 months ago. Maybe it was 8 months ago. I don't know. But I read a piece that blew my mind because there was a guy who is a library security expert, background in law enforcement, and he said the moment he started writing about junkies coming into the library, the moment he started writing about keeping people safe, the moment he started writing about this trend that these libraries are becoming facilities where they're administering opioid overdose medications, is the moment they started blacklisting him. He was featured at conventions and trade shows, whatever, in the library and librarian industry. And once he started speaking out the truth about this, they literally started banning him. And I was just blown away. So leftists and leftism in these libraries says, no, we don't throw people out who are bums or junkies. We welcome them. They're our community. And as part of allowing homeless people or bums or junkies to come in the library, as part of that, we don't want to say no to any of them. They're part of our community. We need to accommodate them. So let's start giving Narcan when they're overdosing. We don't want to chase away junkies. So my question for you is, what are they operating? Are we operating a junkie triage center, or are we operating a library? And do you want our librarians to, do you support this law that starts January 1st? Do you want librarians to be administering Narcan while your kid's at the library, while you're at the library? And maybe you want to say, Chris, it's not that way anymore. Nobody goes to the libraries anymore. But I can tell you this, as long as we have not been for quite some time, I would say, but with the kids growing up, we went there a lot. To me, when I think of libraries, I think of primarily, high school children, college students or younger, and then, of course, other folks that are older that want to go. 312-642-5600 is our number, 312-642-5600. I just love that. Opioid abuse among library, quote, patrons is a real challenge and unfortunate reality. A new state law soon requires all public libraries in Illinois to stock opioid overdose treatments. They also instruct libraries, this new law, to take, quote, reasonable steps to make sure there are always a staff member present who's been trained in how to recognize and respond to opioid overdoses. Here we go. Representative Anna Moeller, an Elgin Democrat, sponsored the bill behind the law. Libraries are public spaces, she says. You have a lot of people who are there. It could be a place where somebody might be having an emergency like that. So if somebody comes in and they are high on opioids, I want them thrown out of the library. The leftists in our library system and that run our state say, no, we want to welcome them. They're part of our community. You should, when you see a junkie, you should hang out with them and just sit around them and chat like everything's fine and normal. And then when they're about to die, then you give them Narcan. That's part of our community. This Democrat from Elgin says she got the idea for this bill from a teenager who came up with this idea from a school project. Libraries, he wrote, are such a huge part of the community. The teenager says they're free. They're open most of the days of the week. They're usually in a very centralized location. There's so many across the state, so it's easier for people to reach them regardless of circumstances. So I guess instead of having libraries, we should have like a little triage wing in the library. Go over this side, sir, in this line if you are here to check out a book or return a book. This line over here is if you're high on opioids and you think you might be dying. How do you feel about this? Are you okay with your library doing this? Is this a normal thing to have people that are overdosing on opioids hanging out at the library? Or has it become a homeless center and a place for ne'er-do-wells to hang out and ride out their highs away from the outside of the inside, away from the elements? 312-642-5600 is our number. 312-642-5600. Oak Park Public Library, one of their people says, since 2023 they've had a red box on a wall near its entrance with Naxalone to anyone in the community can take. People frequently grab the medication, and they typically replenish the supplies in the box every couple times a week. So apparently you've got junkies going into the library now and getting their free opioid overdose medication. It's like an outpatient facility. Oak Park official estimates that about 2 or 3 people overdose at the library each year, often in the bathrooms. See, this is just what I want for my high school kid or college-age kids. You go to the library, you're doing research. Yeah, it's kind of boring, but you got this paper you got to do. And then you go in the library, you see somebody passed out, hanging off the side of the toilet on the ground. And this is just a normal occurrence. Go to the librarian, they'll get some Naxalone and bring them back to life. Everything's fine. Just a normal day. Normal occurrence. Nothing to see here. 2 or 3 people overdose at the library every year. So they're like day centers. Stay warm, have a bathroom, get high. The Evanston Public Library, I'm sure this is going to shock you, the Evanston Public Library has a box for opioid overdoses. The marketing and communications manager for the Evanston Library says, wow. So far, the Tribune says about 2/3 of the library staff at Evanston have been trained on how and when to use opioid antagonists. To which I would say, if I'm a librarian in these districts, am I a librarian or am I an ER nurse? Am I a trauma or emergency room nurse? Frankie in Midway, you're on AM 560. The Answer. Chris Crock in for Dan Props. Hello.
Thank you. How about naming the politicians that sponsored this bill so people start calling and holding our politicians accountable?
Yeah, Representative Anna Moeller, Elgin Democrat, sponsored the bill.
Yeah, I think people need to start picking up the phone and making some calls because this is ridiculous. This is really ridiculous. And I think WLS does a great job, but I think we need to start naming the politicians that sponsor these bills, the judges. We need to get that on the air so people hold these people accountable.
This is what happens when leftism takes over. The children and adults, the patrons of the library, are not as important as the junkies who come in to use it as a day center, a day warming center. Maurice in Berwyn, you're on AM 560. The Answer.
I am, let me be quite apparent, obvious, that I am not for any type of substance use. As an African American, I think substance use have done to African Americans the whole different conversation. But tons of people carry Narcan. It is a pretty common thing for people to do because what heroin has done to just tons of people is pretty shameful. So it's a societal good. I don't want to be so commonplace so that you have to do it all the time. And one thing I will give, I'm sorry, I want to go against the clock. One thing I do like about Donald Trump, and no one ever talks about, unfortunately, doesn't get props for this, is a stance against drugs. Although I'm not with him about marijuana.
You know why he's totally against him? It's because his brother Fred died from alcoholism, and so he's so passionate.
No one gives this dude props about that, unfortunately.
Yeah, but let me make sure I'm understanding. You don't mind having Narcan, Naxalone for overdosing opioid people at the library? You don't mind that? I guess were you still there? Hold on, Maurice. You don't mind them having that there?
No, it's a societal good. Because so many people, anyone can overdose from heroin at any given point.
Is it? Wait, hold on. Is it a societal good to encourage junkies to come in and share the same facilities with our children?
No.
Okay, well then there you go. You've answered the question for me. All right, we have some really powerful calls on this. We got Steve on the northwest side, Russ in Des Plaines. And others, oh, wow. And then another guy, person out of Wheaton with a junkie over there. This is going to be great. Don't go anywhere. We're going to write to your calls coming up next. It's Chris Crocker for Dan Proft, AM 560, The Answer.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen, I'm going to be straight with you. Pain doesn't just hurt your body, it cripples your life. I know this because I've seen it with people I care about. If joint pain is holding you back, start the new year by doing something different. There's a way to get real relief without surgery and without putting your life on pause. But you have to take that first step and contact my friends at QC Kinetics. They provide regenerative treatments that help your body repair the areas that are causing pain. I've talked to people who've been through this. These are real results. Achy knees, hips, shoulders, wherever it hurts, instead of facing surgery that sidelines you for months, QC Kinetics treatments happen in the office. Simple procedures that deliver big, life-changing results. January is supposed to be your clean slate month, so make it one. Stop managing the pain and start solving it. Call now to learn more and tell them Dan Proft, that's me, sent you when you do. The number 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. Call QC Kinetics to start the year right. 312-827-6261.
Hello, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. I'm the co-founder and developer of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. From all of us at Virago to all you at 560 AM, we want to wish you the happiest of holidays, a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, and a safe and joyful New Year. And thank you for making us a part of your day. As the holidays come, we know two things for sure. Family get-togethers and flu season is here. Health experts are watching the H3N2 variant this year. Don't wait to protect yourself and your family. Take Virago. Be proactive. Be protective. We at Virago again wish you a Merry, Merry Christmas.
Flu season is here. Boost your immune system with Virago and protect yourself. Order your bottle of Virago online today. Visit myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30% at checkout. That's myvirago.com. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, yeah. AM 560, The Answer. Chris Crocker for Dan Proft. Junkies in the library, effective Jan 1. All libraries need Narcan, Naxalone, because why not? Junkies should be hanging out at the library too, shouldn't they, with your kids? Why not? Steve in the Northwest Side, you're on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. So I've got some very strong opinions. So I've had two adult sons die of drug overdose, and at any time would I want them in the library with children. And this is a huge society issue. However, they belong, arrested. That was my opinion, or in rehab, which they went to many times. So the answer is not to have them hang out at the library. The answer is, a societal issue where hold everybody accountable for what they do. Arrest drug dealers, and don't let them out. And and on it goes. If it was up to Pritzker, there'd be open drugs and open prostitution, and maybe they could open up some more marijuana dispensaries. I drive
in the library.
I drive down North Avenue. Yeah. Well, I'm surprised they don't. Come to the library, and we'll give you some. We'll give you some
condoms,
some
prostitution,
keep you happy. And, it's out of control. It's absolutely out of control what's going on. and it needs to stop. And it needs to start with enforcing laws that these are illegal things that are happening in our society, and it's been taken on as well. It's okay, it's all right. Don't worry about it. Just keep moving on, and let's keep everybody dumb, and let's keep everybody drugged, and let's keep. It's absolutely out of control.
Steve, I'm sorry about the loss of your two children, and I'm grateful for your opinion and your thoughts that you shared this morning on Chicago's Morning Answer. If a junkie's in there and they're going to administer Naxalone or the other one, I can't remember what it is again off the top of my head, but the opioid overdose medication. Well, then obviously, if junkies are allowed to hang out in the library and to the point where they're overdosing, why would they sell Maybe they can sell drugs to your kid and get your kid hooked on opioids while they're at the library, staying warm and staying high. Russ in Des Plaines, you're on AM 560. The Answer.
We have to give them a shower. We got to get the bathroom with the shower to clean them up, and we have to have a section like they used to have in the restaurants. If you smoked. Or non-smoking, smoking. So we got the junkies, and we got the other ones, and then we have to have the Narcan. Every employee there has to know how to administer the Narcan, right?
Maybe we can also let them get high, distribute safe needles at the library. Next to our kids, have a junkie passed out with a needle sticking out of his arm. No big deal. It's just another day in an Illinois public library. A couple more of your calls coming up next. This is a new law that starts Jan 1 where there's got to be, Narcan, Naxalone for opioid overdoses at every library. And if it's reasonably possible, every employee needs to be trained at the library, or the ones at least that can, trained how to administer these opioid overdose medications, because that's what libraries are for, hanging out, getting high, and possibly overdosing. It's Chris Kroc in for Dan Proft on WIND Chicago.
Can they finally work out a peace plan to stop a nearly 4-year war? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Russia would like to see it end, and Ukraine would like to see it, and I think it's time to end.
And President Trump says they made progress in another meeting yesterday with Ukraine's leader.
Presidents Trump and Zelensky are saying that their meeting yesterday was excellent. They say they're about 90 to 90% of the way there when it comes to a deal. They're making a lot of progress, but they do acknowledge there are some issues.
That's Fox's Madison Scarpino in West Palm Beach, Florida, near the Trump Mar-a-Lago resort where the president and Volodymyr Zelensky talked.
Some of those issues are territorial concessions, which is very sensitive for Ukrainians. And Zelensky says there would need to be a referendum to give up any territory. Other big sticking points of the peace plan are security guarantees and demilitarization zones.
The president also had another call with Russian leader Vladimir Putin. Later today, he turns to a war he helped stop in Gaza, meeting at Mar-a-Lago with Israel's prime minister, discussing that ceasefire.
The second phase of that plan remains in doubt. President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have struck differing positions over the makeup of an international stability force in Gaza and expansion of West Bank settlements. Netanyahu has also announced plans for Israel to develop a domestic weapons manufacturing industry.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern. Taiwan's military's on alert as China plays war games today, doing drills with its army and navy all around the island it claims is Chinese territory. They have a lot of snow to clear. From Iowa to Michigan after a weekend blizzard made travel difficult. Other areas got hit, too, and there were more than 21,000 flights delayed Saturday and Sunday, with another 1,100 this morning and 368 flights canceled.
The airports that were in the most rough shape yesterday continue to be that way today. We have Minneapolis, Atlanta, and, of course, here at O'Hare.
Fox Business Network's Kelly Saberi in Chicago, where it's snowing, so she says driving to the airport is also not easy. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning, 16 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm John Cruz. Snow is on the ground, winds gusting with today's high getting only to the mid-20s. Crime Stopper stepping in with a $10,000 reward for any info about a deadly shooting in downtown yesterday. CPD responded to the call about 2:30 Sunday morning in the 400 block of North LaSalle Drive. They tell us 4 victims getting inside a car when a group of men came toward them and began shooting. They then took off. A 34-year-old man died from his injuries. 3 others are at Northwestern Hospital. Police have no suspects in handcuffs. One person dead after a mobile home fire in Marionette Park last night. Firefighters got the call around 7 o'clock in the 11,000 block of South Homan Avenue. There is a report of a possible explosion that happened before the fire. 2 people treated at the scene for smoke inhalation. One person was found dead inside the home. Investigators continue looking into the cause. A woman is in critical condition after being pulled from the cold Lake Michigan waters late Sunday. That water rescue happened around 3 p.m. in the 3000 block of North Lakeshore Drive near Belmont Harbor in Lakeview. First responders found a 29-year-old female in distress. Diving crews brought her to shore. She was taken to the hospital again in critical condition. Investigators trying to figure out what happened there. Mayor Johnson continues denouncing the latest city budget as it was passed on Saturday. Chicago's $16.5 billion budget will go into effect today, just days before December 31st deadline could have forced a shutdown. Mayor Johnson signing 2 executive orders last week, one preventing the city from selling millions of debt dollars for things like city ambulance payments and red light cameras to private third parties. And severe storms are responsible for damaging a school and multiple homes in parts of Livingston County late last night. That same system ripping roofs off homes, a possible tornado in Pontiac as well. Those blustery conditions continue today with a wind advisory. This report is a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows with limited commercials when you subscribe for free to the daily podcast at 560theanswer.com/podcast. Check out the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher stands up to the bullies.
I think this boils down to recognizing the actual evil that we're facing. It is absolute evil to attack Erica Kirk. There's no gray area here. You want to sit around and attack a grieving widow who just months ago lost her husband. You're rotten to the core. Your soul is gone.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion. There's something about the feel of a gold coin in your hand and the way the light reflects off its intricate details that has always captivated me. Nick Grovich, AmFed's owner, turned that same passion into his livelihood. Nick began collecting coins as a teen, and that interest grew into a nationally respected business offering only the finest quality coins at the most competitive prices. But the truth is that although Nick is a rare coin dealer, he doesn't believe in rare coins. Rare coins do not make sound investments, but they do make dealers a lot of money. See, that's part of what I respect about him. AmFed specializes in buying non-performing numismatic coins and turning them into gold or silver investments that provide liquidity and perform competitively against the market. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com.
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. You need to be very careful out there today with the weather. We're seeing lots of problems on the Stevenson inbound at Cicero Avenue. There's an accident and delays go all the way back to Central Avenue. So it's 37 minutes inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore. Outbound is 26. The Dan Ryan from 95th to the Bird Interchange is 27 minutes. Outbound is 18. The Kennedy inbound from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange, 28 minutes. Outbound is 31. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office is 22 minutes. Outbound is 21. And then there's a crash on the outbound Eisenhower blocking the left lane at York Road. This report is a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device when you download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile or text the word APP to 64636. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly cloudy, windy, and significantly colder. We can expect periods of snow in the morning, accumulating a coating to an inch with a few flurries in the afternoon. Heavier snow showers could make roads slippery and reduce visibility quickly. The high temperature for today will be 26. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Kroc in for Dan Proft. Dan's back after the New Year. I get to be with you today, tomorrow, and Friday. In just a moment, we're going to talk to Stephen Bucci, just a great hero, American hero, and also an expert on foreign policy. But first, a couple more quick calls. The Illinois Public Libraries are now being, the new law, starting January 1st, they have to have Naxalone, Narcan, whatever these opioid overdose drugs are. So it's the support openly by the leftists of having a facility that is like a day warming center or cooling center in the summer where junkies can come, hang out, ride their high out, just love it. If they go a little too far and they're about to die, you give them the Naxalone, the Narcan, and it's okay. Your kid's safe. Maybe a junkie sitting next to him with a needle sticking out of his forearm, or he's drooling on himself, or whatever. And maybe he wants to sell some of the opioids to your son. It's okay. And you got some of the public librarians saying, we've had with Oak Park Library is like, hey man, we think we've saved the lives of about 20 people over the last decade. This is we got people passing out, almost dying in the bathroom or dying. So we're the library in Illinois. We exist to keep the junkies alive and give them a place to hang out. Leftism destroys everything it touches. They're destroying public libraries, which is a very sad thing. Carrie in Wheaton, you're on AM 560, The Answer. Chris in for Dan. Oh, I got to hit the button, Carrie. My bad. Hold on. Now you're on, Carrie. Go ahead.
Oh, hi. Yes, ironic you're covering this story. Yesterday I went to the Wheaton Public Library. And went into the quiet reading room to do some research and reading. I was soon joined by a gentleman in a hoodie and a large jacket who talked incessantly. He told me he was talking to the government and that I should just shut up because they're listening to me. But anyways, when I left, on the wall next to the door, there is a big box of naloxone that you can get now in the Wheaton Public Library. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
See, so there you go. The library is not there for you. You were mistaken. No. You were mistaken that it's there for you to concentrate and research. No, it's a day center. You know how it was like 10 years ago, people would ditch their kids there. 5 years ago, they still do that. In addition to being a free daycare, child care facility where kids can run wild, now it's a great place for mentally ill, disturbed, homeless, and junkies to hang out and talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I'm glad my taxpayer dollars are being spent wisely. Yes.
Absolutely. I will appreciate your call, Carrie, and God bless you. That's a great story right there. Don, you're in Bloomingdale, and you are on AM 560, The Answer. Chris in for Dan.
Good morning. Do you believe that having Narcan on every school bus in the state of Illinois encourages heroin use? Because it is. There's Narcan on every school bus in the state of Illinois.
Wow.
Yeah, I believe that you should save every life. And I'm not talking about it's okay to do heroin in a library, but if they do, you should be able to have the facilities or the tool available to save a person's life, because I know a lot of people that used to be junkies that are now productive members of society, and it was the Narcan changed their lives because it gave them a life back.
Okay,
I work with junkies all the time, and look at the famous people that are out there that have completely turned their lives around from drugs and are now productive members of society.
Here's a question. The people that are on the school bus, they have to be in school, right, by law?
Sure, but
the people that go into the library, hold on, hello,
kindergartner want to do heroin?
Relax. The people that go into the library don't have to go into the library. So what this is saying, yes, junkies and homeless and bums come in here, and we want to cater to them. They are our customers too. They're valuable. They're just as valuable as your child. And so we encourage them to come in. We don't want to discourage. And I've read up on previous articles about this that blew me away on this. So we don't want to discourage anybody. These are part of our community. And no, we don't want people that are coming into libraries who don't have to be there to come in and feel welcome and ride out their high during the day, or stay there as a day shelter, a day warming facility, or a day cooling facility while they ride out their high. Absolutely not. Appreciate your call. All right, now we go to Stephen Bucci. Served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, is a visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thank you for joining us on AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris in for Dan. How are you, sir?
I am well. Merry Christmas and soon to be Happy New Year, and I appreciate you having me on the show.
I appreciate you coming on, as always. So, Venezuela and Cuba, what is next? This is from Mary Anastasia O'Grady in the Wall Street Journal yesterday. And some of the things she says are very important to think about. As you know, if Venezuela goes down, Cuba's going to go down, right? Because Cuba is extraordinarily dependent on Venezuela. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Like, for example, like the overwhelming majority of their oil comes in from Venezuela. And then also Venezuela relies heavily on Cuba for its intelligence services, even though the state is barely, held together by duct tape, right?
Yeah, that's true. The intelligence services in Cuba are top notch, in a nefarious way. They're really good at what they do, and they cater to Cuba's allies and friends in the region as much as their own needs.
Stephen, we had you on last week, of course, and you talked about also the depth of Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, Russia, China. I might be missing some others that are all in Venezuela, working with Venezuela, using Venezuela, etc. Is that about right on everything in there? Is there anything else on that?
No, that's all. Almost every one of the bad actors you could think of that don't own territory in the Western Hemisphere use Venezuela and Cuba as a staging base, as places they can move things in and out, as an outreach zone for our hemisphere. So that it's not just that we don't like Venezuela and Venezuela doesn't like us. They are an adversary, an enemy of the United States and of every free nation in the Western Hemisphere.
So, Stephen, when we look at this, the thrust of O'Grady's column in the Wall Street Journal yesterday is, yes, it'll be great if we can get rid of Nicolas Maduro, but also get rid of the Cuban dictators, still running the Castro regime, if you will, like you'd mentioned last time. But if that happens, first of all, that'll be an amazing godsend to that region of our region, our area here, but also presents a unique opportunity for possibly, non-communist leaders to come in there. But it's also dangerous because that vacuum could be filled by something worse. What do you think about this opportunity? Is it a really great opportunity? Is Trump some kind of a genius for coming up with this, or was it an obvious decision? And then how worried are you about what could come next, and what would you anticipate would come next?
I think it is a good idea. The policy that President Biden's administration followed, which was don't touch Venezuela, don't touch the ghost fleets of tankers going in and out. And his concern and their concern was it was going to upset the Russians and the Iranians. Well, I don't really give a rat's what what the Russians and the Iranians think about what we do in our hemisphere. So that was a ridiculous policy. Now, President Trump is saying, look, this is our hemisphere. We have to protect it. We have to stop people from doing things that hurt not just the United States, but the whole hemisphere. We need to take action. I don't know if President Trump has some sort of timeline for getting rid of Maduro, and then hopefully the other domino falls and Cuba goes. But he is taking actions that markedly protect and pursue the interests of the United States of America and our like-minded countries around us. The fact that the left is just going bonkers about it, it's baffling to me. It's not that they're being human rights advocates. It's not that they're protecting Venezuelan fishermen. These are drug runners and terrorists working against us and working against their own people. There's nothing bad about what President Trump is doing. And it just baffles me that the left is willing to go against 70+% of the American public opinion. That's not just MAGA people. That's folks from the entire political spectrum. The left doesn't care. They're going to go after Trump, and they're going to support the adversaries of America, and shame on them. It's just ridiculous.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, visiting fellow with the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Another comment made by Mary Anastasia. I want to make sure I get this right. Mary Anastasia O'Grady in the Wall Street Journal yesterday. It's the morning after, she says, when things are likely to get complicated. How concerned are you about the vacuum in what will be filled with the absence of Maduro and the communist regime running Cuba right now?
Well, look, Venezuela has a population, a lot of poor people, but a lot of very educated, competent people that have been put on the shelf by the Maduro regime and its predecessor. And that country used to be one of our biggest allies, one of a very productive nation, and it needs to be again. I am confident that if Maduro falls, maybe not immediately, but in short order with some help from us, they'll be able to get back on their feet and become a productive member of the region and the world. So I think there's good things there. It may require some help from us, some investment of time and effort to help them do that. But it's not like you're going to take over a completely destitute country that we need to go in and do everything for them. They're going to be able to pick up the ball and run with it. Good people that care about their own population and not just lining their own pockets. That's the kind of folks we should be supporting.
Ukraine and Russia, 20-point draft plan that Volodymyr Zelensky and Trump came up with after the meeting yesterday or before the meeting. And, of course, that came after Trump spoke by phone with Russian President Vladimir Putin for about 2.5 hours. Neither side gave details of anything. Trump noted major obstacles remain, including over what will happen to the contested territory that Russia wants. Couple things. To me, I just look at this as another false hope. I think that you can have as much of a willingness on Trump's behalf and on Zelensky's behalf, but they don't want to give 1 inch of their land up to the Ukrainians. Russia is in no hurry, as you know. Putin doesn't care about the meat grinder. It's fine. It could be another 1 million soldiers over the next year or two. I just have a very pessimistic view of this. I don't see Russia and Putin agreeing to end right now at all until they get more of what they want, which is land. And it seems like the NATO-esque agreement thing, that where it wouldn't be NATO, but it would be like a coalition that we would lead or something like that. It doesn't seem like any of this is going to be going anywhere anytime soon. Am I wrong to be so pessimistic on this? What are your thoughts?
I think we should be pessimistic. Clearly, Putin has shown little, if any, inclination for anything positive. He really doesn't care about losing his own people. He darn sure doesn't care about killing Ukrainians of innocent people, everything. And he's a liar. So it's kind of tough to get excited about something. He says, oh, yeah, well, we like that. Let's work with that. When, again, it appears he's just slow-rolling everybody. I really think if we're going to see a resolution of this that is in any way fair to the Ukrainian people, it's going to require a much tougher stance by the West towards Putin, and I'm not sure that's in the cards.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It doesn't seem like that. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
So, I mean, we got to push forward. We got to try, but, I'm not ready to pop the champagne cork for this bit anyway.
Yeah, so, I mean, to me, it seems like Putin's going to drag it out so he can take more land because he doesn't want to stop until he gets more of the Donbass. He wants to, some of these key towns in the Donbass, which were kind of the Ukrainian strongholds, he wants to have those, which are, they're almost at that point where he can have those specific cities or strongholds, and then it's just a straight road into Kyiv when he wants to go down that road in 5 years when the next Democrat's in office or whatever, it seems to me. So he wants to drag it out and take more land so that Ukraine is even more defenseless for future invasions. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, that's always been the concern with any sort of concession to Putin is he'll say, okay, I'll take this, I'll settle it. It breaks my heart to have to stop because we really should own more and we deserve more. And you know that when he does stop, it's a tactical pause for him to rebuild things, refit, and get himself ready for another big push. Even if they sign something today, it doesn't mean that there's peace in Ukraine in the future. Because 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years would probably be helpful, but I'm not sure it would last that long. I think we'll see conflict again unless Russia gets rid of Vladimir Putin. And, unfortunately, he's a pretty robust and healthy guy, short of somebody putting some poison in his food or a bullet in the back of his head. I don't think he's going anywhere in the short term.
This NATO-esque forces they want to enforce any future incursions, to me that seems like it's going to be a no-go. Thoughts on that?
Peacekeeping missions have not gone well, really almost anywhere. They're difficult to enforce unless both of the opposing sides are really invested in the peace. Clearly, the Ukrainians want peace. The Russians do not at this point. Right. I think committing troops to that, you're putting those people at an awful lot of risk for very little potential gain.
The will of the Ukrainian people, I was listening to Zelensky talk about this, and he says, any land they would give up has to go through a vote. I guess that's how the Constitution is in Ukraine. And then also they're talking about elections for the president, for, whether it be him or somebody else. But the will of the Ukrainian people, I know they've totally flipped in being against surrendering to now being for surrendering. However, the fact that they have to vote on giving up land, are they at the point as a people where they're so done with the suffering and the war and everything it's done to their population, where they're just going to say, screw it, give him that, we're done? Do you feel that they're at that point yet as a population, as a people?
I don't know if the entire population is at that point or even a majority, but clearly significant pieces of that population have changed from the very strong, patriotic, we're going to see this through kind of attitude to we're just done. No mas, man. We just can't handle this anymore. And you kind of understand that. I mean, they're getting hit every day in civilian targets. You can only hold out for so long.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer, a top Pentagon official. He's a visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Thank you for joining us this morning on Chicago's Morning Answer, Stephen.
Thanks for having me, and again, Happy New Year.
Yes, sir. You too, and thanks for your service to our country. All right, so coming up at right after here, at the bottom of the hour here, 7:37. We're going to be talking. This is going to be really good. John Hinderaker from Powerline blog in Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and also national writer for Powerline and other outlets. But he's going to join us about the Minnesota fraud and so much more. That's coming up next. This is Chris Kroc. And for Dan Proft, if you want to follow me on social media, Twitter, a.k.a. X, Facebook, Instagram, it's at Chris Kroc Show. That's at Chris Kroc Show, CHRISKROK. Follow the podcast on YouTube and Rumble at Kroc Talk, KROK, TALK. This is AM 560 The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. Stace Keene in the newsroom.
Good morning, 16 degrees in Chicago and AM 560 The Answer. I'm John Cruz, off and on snow showers through the morning, highs in the mid-20s. Iran sending a new message to the West. Iran's president quoted as saying, "We are in a full, quote, scale war with America." The timing of the message comes just days before Prime Minister Netanyahu is set to meet with President Trump at Mar-a-Lago today. Tensions remain high in the region. 3 men are recovering after a shooting near St. Sabina Church on the city's south side. Chicago police say the men, all in their 30s, were standing near the sidewalk when a man walked up and began shooting. All 3 last reported in stable condition. Police don't have a suspect in custody. Although many are planning their New Year's Eve celebrations at bars or parties around the city, Chicago also offering their version of free night of fun through the New Year's Eve fireworks celebration over the river. This year's celebration will feature Chicago native Chance the Rapper as the host and countdown performer. Several others leading up to the countdown. The free event opens at 5 p.m. New Year's Eve. Many downtown streets also being closed for the show. This report is a service of the AM 560 Advantage. Membership has its perks, including early access to event tickets, exclusive contest opportunities, and special members-only content. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Scott Jennings sees the left admitting failure.
Big story in the New York Times. Headline, How Biden Ignored Warnings and Lost Americans' Faith on Immigration and Helped Return Donald Trump to the White House. It's amazing to see even the New York Times admitting the failures of Joe Biden on immigration, even though it's a little too late to do anything about it now.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, it's Scott Tucker, and I'm here with
Amy Jacobson
from Retirement Dakota with Scott Tucker and Amy Jacobson here on AM 560 The Answer. Now, I'm a financial advisor, and Amy's the co-host for our program. You know, Amy, recently President Trump signed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. A lot of folks aren't realizing, Amy, that if they have highly appreciated assets, they can potentially tax defer the capital gains tax, place that money into a qualified opportunity fund, and then 10 years from now, get back out of that investment and pay no capital gains tax on either investment. Have you heard of such a thing, Amy?
I did not know about that. That seemed to be hidden in the bill.
It's only 900 some pages.
Yeah,
we have to pass it to see what's in it.
An easy beach read, yes.
Yes. And now there's another thing in the bill as well, Amy. Section 1202. Amy, did you read Section 1202?
I did not, but thank you for the homework assignment.
If you're a small business owner, many small business owners can now sell their small business and potentially pay no federal capital gains taxes on that capital gain of selling their business.
Wow.
If you'd like to get a free copy of my latest book, Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go? Text the keyword book, that's BOOK, to 224-496-3999. Text the keyword book to 224-496-3999. In addition to the free copy of my latest book, Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go, you'll also get our entire Retirement Decoded toolkit. We'll also give you the opportunity to talk to us 15 minutes for free over the telephone at another time so we can go through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act with you, show you how to potentially sell your highly appreciated assets and pay no federal capital gains tax, how qualified opportunity funds work, and also if you're a small business owner, how to potentially pay no capital gains on the sale of your small business through Section 1202 of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Text book to 224-496-3999 or call that very same number, 224-496-3999.
Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Firm does not offer tax advice.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you that they are making it through. They want to thank you for your continued support by passing on some Christmas specials to our listeners. Get the Children's Bible Story Pillow 5-pack for $29.98. My Slippers with a free bottle of leather protectant spray for $39.98. Blankets, comforters, and duvets for as low as $25, and a blowout sale on the standard MyPillows for just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.99. Kings only $1 more. 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. We know MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but MyPillow has just announced that they are extending their 60-day money-back guarantee. That's right. Orders placed between now and December 25th will have their 60-day money-back guarantee extended through March 1st, 2026. Promo code LIBERTY.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
You know, nothing beats the comfort of a perfectly heated home.
And when it comes to heating your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Air Right Heating and Cooling is fast. When your furnace breaks down, they'll fix it right away.
Just like that. Big time results. No waiting around. You get the job done right. And let's face it, who doesn't love being warm, right? It's beautiful. When it's freezing, I crank up that amazing furnace. Burn, baby, burn. Trust me, you'll say, wow, I've never felt this warm in my life.
If you like keeping your hard-earned money, then contact Air Right Heating and Cooling. Tell them AM 560 sent you, and right now you'll receive $56 off any service.
Unbelievable.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Start the new year off on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
Good morning. 16 degrees in Chicago and AM 560 The Answer. I'm John Cruz, off and on snow shower. Good morning. 16
right
degrees
now, so be
in
careful.
Chicago.
Got a crash taking down 3 lanes on the inbound Dan Ryan at Canalport Avenue. So it's 27 minutes both ways from 95th to the Burn interchange. Then the Tri-State southbound at Ridgeland Avenue. You have a collision blocking the left lane. On I-57 inbound at 127th Street, a car slid off the roadway and into a wall. And then an accident takes out the left lane on the outbound Jane Addams at Mannheim Road. Inbound Eisenhower from Wolf to the old post office, 34 minutes. Outbound is 21. And the Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 39 minutes inbound. Outbound is 36. This report is sponsored by USA Fencing. Ever want to try an Olympic or Paralympic sport? Try fencing. It's fast, safe, and easy to start. Find a beginner class near you at usafencing.org/tryfencing. That's usafencing.org/tryfencing. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now we'll check with your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly cloudy, windy, and significantly colder. We can expect periods of snow in the morning, accumulating a coating to an inch, with a few flurries later in the afternoon. Be cautious as any heavier snow showers could swiftly create slippery road conditions and reduce visibility. The high temperature for today will be 26 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Crocken for Dan Proft. Dan's back after the holidays. So, this is a great time to talk to John Hinderaker, president of the Center of the American Experiment and contributor to Powerline. John, welcome to AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, hi, Chris. Great to be with you.
Great to be with you, too. I got to tell you, this is so crazy, obviously. Everything we've seen with the fraud in Minnesota, the land of 10,000 frauds, I guess somebody was calling it. Tell me the depth of the fraud that you've been able to cover and see. We have the assistant U.S. attorney for Minnesota saying that $9 billion just in Medicaid fraud alone. But you also have these daycare centers that journalist Nick Shirley blew up. And by the way, I used to work at KSTP Radio in the early 2000s, and in the building there is KSTP TV. I just saw that 11 months ago you had an in-depth piece about the fraud at the daycare centers with Jay Kulisk, I think is his name, at KSTP. So tell me the depth of the fraud with Medicaid, with these daycare facilities, what your reaction is to the Nick Shirley stuff just absolutely blowing up over the weekend into today. And then what are the other fraud stuff that you've seen that we have going on there in Minnesota? Talk to me.
Well, this has been going on for a long time, and it's been centered in the Somali community. You can go back a decade, and there was child care fraud. You know, the people would set up a supposed child care, and they'd manufacture a list of mostly or entirely fictitious children and say, oh, yeah, I'm caring for all these children, put in for money to the state of Minnesota, and they'd get paid. People went to jail for that 10 years ago. So this story has been a long time in the making. The frauds extend across the entire range of Minnesota state government programs, although the dollars involved, it's important to know, are largely federal dollars. So the famous fraud is called Feeding Our Future, and that was in a program that was intended to feed lunches, breakfasts to poor children. And that's the fraud that has really been criminally prosecuted over the last couple of years. I think 86 people have been charged, 55 or 60 have either been convicted in a couple of jury trials or have pled guilty. And that fraud was actually administered by the Minnesota Department of Education, and it amounted to something like $500 million. The big group of frauds, and this is, you mentioned the Assistant U.S. Attorney, Joe Thompson, has said that their investigation, the federal investigation, suggests that at least half of all of the Medicaid dollars spent in Minnesota were fraudulent. That's where the $9 billion comes from, because that total is $18 billion. Half would be $9 billion. He says at least half are fraudulent. And then you've got daycare centers. That's a whole other category.
Yes.
It's not under Medicaid. It's not part of the Feeding Our Future scandal. So this is back where we started 10 years ago, daycare fraud. And again, what these people do, they'll set up a supposed daycare. They'll put into the state government and say, oh, I'm caring for 90 children, and what Nick Shirley, little 23-year-old YouTuber, did is he got official government records, of where these child care centers are, what they're called, who runs them, how many children they supposedly are caring for. And he and a friend, a colleague, started just driving around to these places and knocking on the door, and nowhere did they find any children. I mean, none. And they were treated like interlopers and threatened, if they didn't get off the premises. And this guy, Nick Shirley, would say, well, I'm looking for a child care to enroll my son in.
Mm-hmm.
And these people obviously were not looking for customers, right? And so, what's the total amount of the frauds? I don't know. I would say it's clearly more than $10 billion over the last few years.
John, how many of we've heard and we've seen that the folks with the state employees that have been seeing this fraud have whistleblowers and such, and they're maintaining, we have warned you, Governor Walz, we've told you about this, you've attacked us, you have through your proxies, and you've threatened us, etc. How real is that? How much truth is there to that the state employees were absolutely blowing the whistle, including, I guess, union members representing these employees? Were they doing that, and to what extent?
It's a little bit unclear, Chris. There's a Facebook group that purports to have about 100 members who are employees or maybe former employees of the Department of Human Services here in Minnesota. And that's where these claims have been made about them trying to blow the whistle, telling their superiors, like there's massive fraud going on. That group is anonymous. I don't think any of the individuals have stepped forward, at least not to my knowledge. I know that some legislators have told me personally that they've talked with some of those people. And so it's a little unclear to what extent people inside the Walz administration have been trying to blow the whistle on these frauds. We know that some people in the Somali community years ago were trying to draw attention to the Feeding Our Future fraud, and that is ultimately what got the FBI involved and what stimulated the federal prosecutions. And so there's been a lot of information about this bubbling under the surface. I mean, my organization and my website both have been writing about the fraud starting in January of 2022, so it'll be 4 years next month. So there's been a lot of information out there. And what is true is that our state government, under Tim Walz and our Attorney General Keith Ellison, has played no part in trying to stop these frauds or cracking down on the frauds or prosecuting the frauds. On the contrary, just days before the first FBI raids, a group of Feeding Our Future fraudsters met with the Attorney General, Keith Ellison, to complain that the Department of Education was threatening to cut off funding. And they said they're being harassed, because these are all racists in the administration. And Keith Ellison undertook to help them and said he would make some phone calls, look into it. And he said that Governor Walz agreed with him that these stupid, piddly things shouldn't stand in the way of these East African businesses. The stupid, piddly things are the multi-billion-dollar frauds. So the most charitable thing you can say about Tim Walz and his administration is that it has been completely asleep at the switch for years.
There's another thing, John. The Kelly Loeffler, the head of the Small Business Administration, cutting off millions of dollars of loans, alleging fraud through PPP and other Small Business Administration loans. What do you know about that? Because that's another wrinkle in this whole thing, right? And what do you know about that and the extent of the fraud there?
Well, I guess what I know about is what you just said. Kelly Loeffler has cut off some small business funding, and like I said before, these frauds seem to extend through virtually every program administered by the state of Minnesota. So I guess it would be surprising if there were not fraud in those programs, but it's not something that really has been reported on or that I know much about. I'll tell you, the real hammer would be if the federal government cut off Minnesota's Medicaid funding.
How likely do you think that is with this amount of fraud? Half of every dollar.
I mean, that would be a huge measure. They're talking about cutting off education funding because Minnesota is going to the wall, on boys and girls sports and boys and girls showers and so forth. And so that battle's going on right now. Cutting off Medicaid funding would be a very, very big deal. That would be a very severe sanction. And yet you have to wonder with the volume. I mean, if 50% of all the dollars spent in Minnesota are criminal fraud, well, they should cut off the funding.
Yeah, I mean, because you can't say, well, we want to help people, even if half of it is given to fraudsters, we still want to keep pouring money into this. I mean, it's unreal. John Hinderaker, president of Center for American Experiment and contributor to Powerline. More questions for you here. How about this? Your Minnesota Lieutenant Governor, Peggy Flanagan, who previously wore a shirt with a knife on it that said "Protect Trans Kids," featuring that knife as a threat. I believe that was over a press conference where she and Governor Walz, the Minnesota legislature, made it so that transgender butchery for minors, tourism like that, coming in, doing that would be okay. Parents wouldn't be allowed to know about it or didn't have to be notified, and didn't have to cooperate with investigations from out of state, etc. Is that what that was about? And then second of all, what's your reaction to her then showing up with a hijab on and saying, Assalamu alaikum? Here's the first few seconds of that. Actually, I'll play that right here. Wait, hold on. There's another one. It's this one. Here you go.
Assalamu alaikum. My name's Peggy Flanagan. I am the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, and I'm really honored and humbled to be here with all of you today. I am incredibly clear that the Somali community is part of the fabric of the state of Minnesota.
How crazy that this crazy leftist would stand there and put a hijab on, cover herself up to pander to the Somali community. What's your reaction to all that she's been doing with that and this embarrassing, humiliating television appearance? Yeah,
it was embarrassing. Around the country, there's a lot of memes popping up where this picture of Flanagan in a hijab is being compared to The Handmaid's Tale.
Yes,
it actually looks a lot like. She is a crazy left winger, an absolutely crazy left winger, but she's also the current front runner for our open Senate seat here in Minnesota up in 2026. And what you just played there and what Peggy Flanagan has been saying and doing is the approach of the Walz administration. They are simply trying to brazen this out. They are 100% behind the Somalis, apparently including the fraudsters. They constantly try to minimize the extent of the fraud and cast aspersions on the people who have exposed the fraud, including the assistant U.S. attorney, who has successfully prosecuted these cases. And again, they are. They're just standing four square behind these practices that have made Minnesota the easiest place in the country to defraud. One of the things we've seen is what the U.S. Attorney called fraud tourism. Criminals from around the country. A couple guys from Philadelphia have gotten word. All you got to do is come to Minnesota and send the state government an invoice, and they'll pay it. It's easy pickings. So we've had people actually moving here to commit fraud because word is out on the criminal community that it's so easy. And but the reaction of the Walz administration has been what you just played. These are our neighbors. We're behind them 100%. There's not much to see here. Everybody move along.
Okay, so you have 100,000 roughly a voter block of Somali folks that are voting, and apparently they can make or break somebody if you're running for office, statewide office in Minnesota. Is that accurate?
Well, it depends where you are. I mean, if you're in the city of Minneapolis, they absolutely could make you or break you, which is why Jacob Frey, the incumbent mayor of Minneapolis, had to learn to speak Somali and try to do Somali dances. I mean, the video footage of him is just, to talk about embarrassing. I mean, it's just unreal. But it's a voting bloc that clearly sways the city of Minneapolis. It sways Hennepin County, which is the county that Minneapolis is in. And it has swung some statewide elections. It is a very solid voting bloc for the DFL party, which I think is why we see all this money being scattered around. And it's a very important force in state politics.
What about the denaturalization and possible deportation of Somali folk in Minneapolis-St. Paul who are found with fraud, and where do you think that's going ultimately, about the percentage of people that are Somalis that are in your area there in Minneapolis-St. Paul that could be denaturalized and deported due to fraud?
Well, it's a very small number. The thing for our listeners to understand is that this is not primarily a story about illegal immigration. This is really a story about legal immigration. And these Somalis and the DFL party have been very assiduous about becoming citizens. And that's why they're able to vote in substantial numbers. Now, theoretically, if you look at the immigration laws, a handful of them could be denaturalized and deported. Certainly the ones that are convicted of fraud or plead guilty to fraud are in that category. The problem with that remedy is that you got to do it one at a time. You can't denaturalize a big group of people. And so realistically, it's just not something that is going to make a big impact on the numbers. Although I think it would be good if they denaturalized and deported even a handful of these folks.
Yes.
As a warning, even as a symbolic response.
Speaking of that, what about Ilhan Omar with the reported marriage fraud? marrying her brother reportedly. And with that, immigration fraud possibly. What do you think the possibilities of her getting, Tom Homan said that they're investigating it. What do you think the chances are that they find that she did marry her brother and therefore committed immigration fraud and is deportable?
Well, so she immigrated to the U.S. At age 12, and it was some years after that when she pretended to marry her brother. It was a legal ceremony. She was already married to someone else, several children by him. There was some fraudulent purpose behind marrying her brother. It's never been entirely clear what that fraudulent purpose was. It may have simply had to do with being eligible to cohabitate as students at North Dakota State University. So there's no question she did marry her brother, and it was a fraud. That is absolutely clear. I think the likelihood of the federal government trying to denaturalize her over that or anything else is extremely slight, and frankly, I don't think politically it would be a good idea. I think it would generate tremendous blowback, and I don't think would be very productive.
Okay, now you wrote a great column about all this fraud about Walz. What are his chances of getting reelected for an unprecedented, if I'm not mistaken, or at least very hard to win in Minnesota politics, third term as a governor of the state of Minnesota? And you put numbers down and predicted the chances of Walz, getting reelected and stuff. I have this weird feeling, and you'll know Minnesota politics more than I ever will, since I was only there for 2 years doing a talk show back in the day. But what are his chances? My feeling, again, being an outsider, is that he's going to have to pull out of the race because this has blown up over the weekend even insanely more. Or if I'm not mistaken, that's where I sit from. So I don't see how he's going to make it through. But you tell me.
Well, we'll see. So some people think that the national Democrats would like to force him out of the race like they did Joe Biden. And by the way, we've never had a three-term governor in Minnesota. This would be unprecedented.
Yeah.
And there's some evidence for that. There was an article in the New York Times, also a couple of op-eds in the Washington Post on the fraud story within the last few weeks that were very critical of Tim Walz. So why would they do that? A lot of people think that's a sign that the National Party wants him out. That said, it's easier said than done, and if he's determined to stay the course, there's no clear path to forcing him out. What they could do is threaten to cut off funding, and the Minnesota Democrats get most of their money from outside of Minnesota. The number one donor to politics in Minnesota is your governor, J.B. Pritzker.
Yep.
And so what I said in my post is I think there's a 40% chance that Walz either looks at the polling and thinks it's hopeless, which so far you're not really seeing in the polling, or that the National Democrats succeed in forcing him out. So I think a 60% chance that he actually is the DFL nominee. But if he runs, I think if the Republicans nominate one of their strong candidates, they can beat him. I think there's a 60% chance that if he's in the race and the Republicans nominate somebody good, the Republican will win. First time Republicans will have won a statewide race in Minnesota since 2006, by the way. So they're on a real losing streak.
John Hinderaker.
The problem, of course, is Minnesota Republicans do not have a great track record when it comes to nominating their best candidates. So put that together, and I figure there's roughly one chance in four of Tim Walz getting a third term.
Interesting. John Hinderaker, thank you very much for your time. President of the Center of the American Experiment and contributor to Powerline. Appreciate you very much coming on today.
Great to be with you, Chris.
Thank you. All right, coming up next on Chicago's Morning Answer, the Kane County State's Attorney is checking out whether to prosecute ICE. And, Brandon Johnson, as Dan calls him, BLM Brandon, loses his head tax. All that's coming up in the next hour. It's Chris Crockett for Dan Probt, AM 560, The Answer.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hello, my name is Dr. Michael Huber, co-founder and developer of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. From all of us at Virago, we want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah and a Happy New Year. To our incredible 560 AM listeners, we want to say thank you for your support this year. It has meant the world to us. And we want you to celebrate, cherish these moments, and most importantly, be safe and healthy. The H3N2 variant is on the horizon, and we want you to be ready. Don't wait until it's too late. Be prepared. Protect your family during this holiday season. Stay healthy with Virago, and Merry Christmas.
Flu season is here. Boost your immune system with Virago and protect yourself. Order your bottle of Virago online today. Visit myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30% at checkout. That's myvirago.com.
Dan Proft here to tell you about our 2025 Food for the Poor campaign. If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They are a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean. We all know about how bad the situation is in Latin America and the Caribbean right now. Economic decline, political instability and corruption, and high food prices. The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor and their partners who are providing life-saving food relief on the ground. But in order to get food and water to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your gift of just $150 can provide food and water for 2 children for an entire year. For a gift of $300, you can provide food and water for 4 children for an entire year. To make a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673. Or visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
At Terra Vista of Oak Brook Terrace, dementia care isn't just what we do, it's all we do. We specialize in caring for those with Alzheimer's and other types of dementia. We're on the forefront of dementia care with a barrier-free, stress-free environment, so residents can explore safely and feel at home. But what truly sets Terra Vista apart? Personalized care. We take the time to learn each resident's story, where they lived, their routines, former careers, even the names of family members. Anyone who interacts with your loved one can immediately make them feel comfortable and understood. We meet our residents right where they are. Residents stay strong and engaged with multi-sensory activities, music, art, horticulture, our beautiful 18,000 square foot outdoor space, and even a personal trainer. At Terra Vista, residents aren't defined by their dementia. We honor the whole person. Speak to an advisor or schedule a tour today at terravista.org. Again, that's terravista.org, and tell them AM 560 sent you.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
Another Trump attempt to stop Russia's war in Ukraine. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Everybody wants peace, but just peace.
That's Ukraine's leader Volodymyr Zelensky after meeting with President Trump at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida, discussing a U.S.-brokered peace plan that would include security guarantees for Ukraine.
I think we're doing very well. We could be very close. There are 1 or 2 very thorny issues, very tough issues, but I think we're doing very well. We made a lot of progress today.
One of those thorny issues, who gets what land being fought over. Zelensky talked to Fox's Brett Baer after the sit-down.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
Is the territory. Yeah. That's the hard part. So how do you get to yes?
Zelensky says Ukrainians oppose giving up the Donbas region to Russia.
It will be big risks for Ukraine, not acceptable by Ukrainians, but they will, just personally, and referendum will not be positive.
You can watch that interview on Fox's Special Report, 6 p.m. Eastern. Russian leader Vladimir Putin, who also had a phone call yesterday with President Trump, told generals today, according to Reuters, it's necessary to continue the war, trying to take over the Ukrainian city of Zaporizhia, where a nuclear power plant is. Today, President Trump will hold talks with another leader on another conflict. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu goes to Mar-a-Lago.
They'll reportedly discuss the future of the Gaza peace deal. Netanyahu will also give Trump an update on Iran and its ballistic missile program. And it all comes as Iran's president is saying they're in a full-fledged war with the U.S., Israel, and Europe, saying they don't want his country to be stable.
That's Fox's Madison Scarpino. China is flexing its muscle near Taiwan, doing military drills with the Army and Navy all around the island it considers Chinese territory.
The move from China comes in response to U.S. arms sales to Taiwan in a statement from Japan's prime minister, who says his country's military could get involved if China were to take forcible action against Taiwan.
That's Fox's Ryan Schmelz. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning, 16 degrees in Chicago and AM 560 The Answer. I'm John Cruz in the Air Right Heating and Cooling newsroom. Snow showers and high winds causing issues on the roads today. A high temp around 24 degrees. Part of the roof of Prairie Central Junior High in Forest is gone after Sunday storms. Prairie Central Community School Unit School District Number 8 Superintendent Brian Quam says most damage was to the gymnasium. Classrooms were not damaged, according to a post on Facebook. All activities scheduled at the junior high are canceled till further notice. That same weather system spawning a tornado in Tazewell County on Sunday morning just before 9:30. An EF1 tornado touched down on Allenton Road. That twister traveled about a mile and took down multiple power lines. Lots of residents and commercial buildings took on damage. A 32-year-old man was stabbed early Sunday morning during an argument on the CTA Blue Line. Police say the incident happened near the Grand Avenue station along North Milwaukee Avenue. That victim suffering a cut to his left hand, taken to the hospital in good condition. No one in custody. Owners of a luxury consignment shop in Barrington say most of their inventory was stolen during a burglary early Sunday morning. The business reports multiple suspects broke into the shop on South Cook Street and removed merchandise within about a minute before fleeing. Barrington police are investigating and have not announced any arrests. The Bears are the NFC North champions but have lost out on home field advantage during the playoffs. Chicago clinched the division after the Packers lost to the Ravens on Saturday, but lost out on the number 1 seed in the NFC after a wild game in San Francisco last night, losing to the Niners 42-38. And if you're ready to chunk that Christmas tree already, Christmas tree recycling in Chicago begins January 3rd. You can drop off your tree at 27 different locations across the city through the 17th of January. The recycled trees will be turned into mulch to be used at Chicago city parks. This report, a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off any service, including inspections, or take advantage of limited-time federal rebates on a new furnace. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
It could be a mostly quiet day and even quieter week for Wall Street. Trading is expected to be light, with the markets closed Thursday for New Year's Day. If you're thinking of quitting your job, a lot of people do this time of year, especially if they get a lackluster end-of-the-year job review. But experts say wait a few weeks, take a breath, talk to your boss, and then if you still think leaving is best, you may find that the options are better. Got an FSA or HSA account? It runs out in a matter of days. If you have some funds left on either of them, you can use them to stock up on things like first aid supplies or even pay for a few months of next year's gym membership ahead of time. Plan to pay more to toast the new year. A survey of prices coast to coast finds bottles of champagne will hover in the $50 to $60 range. You can also say cheers with lower priced bubbles like Cava or Prosecco. That's your Fox Business Update. I'm Daria Albinger, invested in you.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Don't get stuck with a cold shower this winter. Give CenterGuard Plumbing a call. Get a new 40-gallon water heater installed for just $1,195 for standard installation, or a 50-gallon heater for $1,295 standard installation. A proud new sponsor of AM 560, CenterGuard is offering specials on new water heaters. Old man winter is here. Don't get stuck in the cold. And the same can happen to your water heater. If you're having hot water issues or your water heater's over 8 years old, take advantage of this winter special today. CenterGuard Plumbing is Chicagoland's same-day water heater experts. Call before noon and they can schedule your repair or install the same day on in-stock water heaters. They'll even haul away your old one, no charge. You're only a text away from install today. Call 847-406-8883. Mention AM 560 to receive winter special pricing. That's 847-406-8883. Call or text 847-406-8883 or visit CenterGuardPlumbing.com.
We couldn't decide if we needed in-home care for Dad.
Right. Just some help here and there with bathing, organizing his meds, a walk through the neighborhood.
Oh, exactly. But everywhere we looked, we had a 4-hour minimum. It was more care than he needed, and it didn't make sense to spend extra for it.
Then we found Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. No minimum hours. We were shocked.
Now a caregiver stops by once or twice a week for just an hour or two to help with the small things that make a big difference.
And Mom loves the visits. It's not just help. It's companionship.
At Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, we understand that not every family needs round-the-clock care. We serve DuPage, Cook, Kane, Kendall, and Will counties. We conduct free in-home assessments and we guarantee compatibility. Call Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest today at 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Global anti-Semitism has surged since the Hamas terrorist attacks of October 7, 2023. Now a civil rights watchdog has shown just how pervasive the problem has become on American college campuses. Stop Anti-Semitism's 2025 campus report card on 90 U.S. universities was alarming. 39% of Jewish students say they've felt forced to hide their identity. 65% feel unwelcome in parts of their own campuses, and 58% report that their universities failed to protect them. Young people, members of a peaceful religious minority, are being marginalized at institutions that claim to prize inclusion. And administrators charged with maintaining safe, civilized learning environments are too often looking the other way. Less than a century ago, the world vowed never again. These words ring hollow when hatred is tolerated in plain sight.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S, ethos.com/Mike.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto-pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Hello, this is Alistair Begg. In September of 2026, I'll be teaching the Bible as we cruise through the Norwegian fjords. I'd love for you to join me. Call 855-565-5519 or visit deeperfaithcruise.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. If you're planning to head out the door, now is the time to do so because the roads are in great shape. Inbound on the Eden from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Outbound is 14. The Kennedy looks great. Inbound from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange, 20 minutes. Outbound is 23. About 15 minutes both ways on the Eisenhower from Wolf to the old post office. The Stevenson is delay-free at the moment. From the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 17 minutes inbound. Outbound is 16. The Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange is 13. Outbound is 11. There is a stall on the express lanes. Inbound right at 35th Street, so just watch out for that. Traffic is a service of Quick Delivery Service. Make Quick Delivery Service your personal ground crew anytime, anywhere, any place. When you need to move your shipment or freight, Quick Delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance and eliminate any surprises at quickdelivery.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly cloudy, windy, and significantly colder. We can expect periods of snow in the morning, accumulating a coating to an inch with a few flurries in the afternoon. Heavier snow showers could make roads slippery and reduce visibility quickly. The high temperature for today will be 26. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Crocken for Dan Proft. Dan's back after the holidays. 312-642-5600 is our number. Chicago's mayor, the Wall Street Journal writes over the weekend, Chicago's mayor loses his head tax. Well, he lost a lot of other things, but it's very, very, very important to know since we last talked on Christmas Eve's Eve, if I'm doing that right in my head, my backwards math, was Brandon was, BLM Brandon, as Dan calls him, was contemplating and was about to hold some kind of a press conference, or at least a discussion publicly about what he would do. Well, as we know now, he chose not to sign the budget, not to veto the budget, but just to let it be passed. But don't rejoice as this is some kind of a victory for him, because it's not. The budget was 98% the same between what the city council wanted when he wanted. The only difference is 2%, that head tax. Basically, it's the same budget. Basically, we still get screwed nice and hard compared to what could have been done, what should have been done. The Journal rightly calling him America's worst mayor. And this budget attempts to fill $1.2 billion budget hole by legalizing gambling terminals for bars and restaurants. So selling that last shred of your soul away for a few bucks. And borrowing for the likes of retroactive pay raises for firefighters. That's what you need to know. It's not just about firefighters, but that what will never be cut, it'll always be you paying more. What will never be cut are costs for city employees. They will never cut anything from them. Their pensions, their pay, their benefits. Make them pay more for health care? No. Make them take a week or two off of furlough, mandatory for each employee to save money? No. Never. You, as a citizen of the city of Chicago, will be punished before anyone ever gets touched if they're an employee of the city of Chicago, because that voting block is way too important to the politicians. You, they will screw. The employees, they will not. They also, the city took on an $830 million bond deal earlier this year. The city makes no payments while Johnson is in office, backloading the payment schedule for a future mayor or a federal bailout. Hell no to that, I say. That's all from the Journal. But the meanwhile, the Chicago Public School staff jet sets, we talked about this last time I was in over the past, Thanksgiving and, of course, now. But safaris, camel rides, Chicago Public School staff jet sets overseas on tax dollars from IllinoisPolicy.org. Since 2019, CPS staff spent almost $24 million in taxpayer money on excessive travel, according to the Office of Inspector General. 8 schools used more than $142,000 in CPS funds to pay a vendor for 15 staff trips to Finland, Estonia, Egypt, South Africa for professional development and school visits, quote-unquote. Yeah, total BS. A hot air balloon ride, South African game park, camel rides, visiting the pyramids. So anyways, meanwhile, you got only 2 and 5 CPS students can read at grade level. 1 in 4 perform math proficiently. So that will never get cut. That'll never get cut, CPS. Now, here's what they do want to cut. And this is totally wrong. This upsets me. From Fox 32 yesterday. Rising costs for Chicago Police Department become increasing focus of city leaders. Yes. They're mad about increased costs from the police department. CPD, by far the city's most expensive department, comprising more than half of total spending on personnel out of more than 30 city departments. 11,000 sworn officers, 12,000 total employees. Brandon Johnson last week signed an executive order aimed at reining in spending for police officer overtime. The mayor's budget director, Ann Guzman says, that's why I keep saying it. If you're going to do this, the only way to cut, you have to hit CPD. You got to hit them. Now, before I go further, I'm not an expert with Chicago police and budget cuts and everything, but I'm going to tell you right now, my theory, knowing some current and former Chicago police officers, many of whom have left to go to the suburbs for righteous reasons. They don't want to go to jail for doing their job. The reason why, this is my speculation, the reason why the overtime is so high with the Chicago Police Department is because they don't have enough officers, period. You can thank the leftist, communist Marxists. You can thank Black Lives Matter and all the crazed fools and BLM Brandon because for defunding the police, for cutting the police. And then you can thank the city policies and the politicians for wanting to make sure that police officers go to jail for doing their jobs way before criminals ever go to jail for breaking the law. So I think you have a lack of police officers in the department because it puts its officers in jail before it puts criminals in jail, because the way they treat their officers as criminals, and because nobody wants to work for Chicago police for the most part anymore, which is so sick and disgusting. But its reputation, the policies, the way they treat the officers, and the way they go after the officers in the city of Chicago is such a sick disgrace that many officers have left, or many officers or people that want to be officers don't want to sign up there. So they have a lack of police officers, and I believe it's because of that that's caused this demand for overtime. So if they want to cut overtime on the police officers, that means you're going to have to just have less police officers available and present. And we know that gangbangers outnumber police officers by far. So if they want to do this, they want to cut that, then that's fine. You're going to screw the people even more. So why wouldn't you instead try to concentrate on hiring more officers and do less overtime by hiring more officers? Well, it's because you can't, because of the way you treat them. That's my theory. 312-642-5600 is our number, 312-642-5600. According to the Civic Federation, Channel 32 says, the department has consistently underspent on salaries. 5 of the past 6 years saw CPD spend less money than was appropriated for salaries, largely due to there being about 10% of its positions remaining vacant. That's why you have overtime. 1 out of 10 positions are vacant. When you treat them like a criminal, they're not going to want to work for you. Not difficult to figure out. At the same time, the department has been spending more on overtime costs, exceeding its overtime budget each of the past 6 years. In 2024, city budgeted $100 million for overtime. CPD spent $238 million, so $138 million over. Hiring and retaining officers has continued to plague the department. Of course. I mean, the amount of officers at so many suburban departments that are filled with former Chicago police officers, losing so many of them after they've put in 5, 6, 7, 8 years or more. By 5 years, they're considered trained to the highest ability because they've gone through just about any possible thing you can think of. That's when they're at 5 years or later is when they're the most valuable. And so many incredible officers flee or don't apply to the city of Chicago because they don't want to go to jail for doing their jobs. They don't want to be treated like a criminal. They don't want to be heavily neutered. And they're willing to risk all sorts of issues by leaving that department. And so you have the best, I think ironically, and I know there's still a lot of amazing people on the police force, but I'm telling you, I think you lose a lot of the best because of the way they've been treated. So they're going to cut that? Are you kidding me? Let's see if there's a need to cut the police force budget. Well, let's see. What do we have over the weekend? We had River North shooting caps off holiday, quote, gun violence. There's no such thing as gun violence. Guns don't commit violence, but that's okay. What do you expect from the Sun-Times? River North shooting caps off holiday gun violence that leaves 28 shot, 6 dead across Chicago. It's just another nice holiday weekend in the city. 28 shot, 6 fatally since the start of the long holiday weekend Wednesday. Gunfire erupts near St. Sabina Church, leaving 3 wounded. Our beloved lunatic Father Flegger is angry that some of his 30-something-year-olds that are playing basketball got shot and that are playing around with guns, in his own words. 1 man killed, 3 men critically injured in shooting on Chicago's River North neighborhood. 2:30 a.m. Sunday. This one was the big one over the weekend. You got, what do they say, like 50 casings found? Something of that nature on the street there. You got a couple visiting from Europe staying with relatives inside a condo nearby where the shooting happened, saying, quote, "This is something that would be national headline if it happened in Finland." This is Chicago. It's just another day. It's a normal day of business over here. Oh, we got man slashed during fight on CTA Blue Train, armed robbery supported on CTA Orange Line train. So it just goes on and on and on. And let's cut that budget back, huh? Mm-hmm. I'm sure that'll turn out really nicely. 312-642-5600 is our number, 312-642-5600. Coming up next, I've got Kane County State's Attorney is considering prosecuting ICE. That's pretty comical. We'll talk about that coming up next. And then I have so much more. Oh, boy. More on the Bears Stadium. Great job losing last night, Bears. Why am I not surprised? So we'll get into this Illinois rep saying as if the Bears had a plan to rob the bank before considering Indiana. We have a Bronzeville Kwanzaa event. Happy Kwanzaa. We'll be doing that a little bit. And then white business owners are the biggest share of Illinois diversity preferred contract group. All that is coming up next. Oh, well, we'll talk to Greg also coming out of LaGrange as well, coming up next as well. This is Chris Kroc, and for Dan Proft, you want to follow me on social media on X, Facebook, Instagram, at Chris Kroc Show. That's at Chris Kroc Show, ChrisKrok. Podcast at Rumble and YouTube at Kroc Talk, KROKTALK. This is Chris and for Dan on AM 560 The Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Whether you are old or young, no one likes to lose money. The market is at an all-time high. How much risk does your portfolio really have in it? Are you worried that you could lose your hard-earned money? Call TJ Stearns in Arlington Heights at 800-640-2256 for your free risk report. Call right now and we will include a full analysis of your portfolio. Don't wait until it's too late. Call TJ Stearns, a local and longtime sponsor on AM 560. Call 800-640-2256. Call now and tell him AM 560 sent you.
Ross Shaw talks about building income in retirement.
You know, you can actually structure it in a way that have that $4,000 a month coming in the door every single month. So you don't have to look at the stock ticker and say, oh, the stock market's up today, stock market's down. You still got that $4,000 a month, and having that opportunity to take the vacations and do all the fun things in retirement that you always dream to do.
Unleash your wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
When someone you love is living with memory loss, finding the right care isn't just important, it's everything. At Terra Vista of Oak Brook Terrace, memory care isn't an add-on, it's all we do.
When Mom moved into Terra Vista, everything changed. She's safe, engaged, and surrounded by people who truly understand dementia. And I finally get to just be her daughter again.
Terra Vista was built specifically for caring for those with Alzheimer's and other types of dementia, with secure indoor and outdoor spaces, innovative therapies, and a community that feels like home. Residents stay active, connected, and respected every single day.
And the best part? Mom can live with dignity, and I have peace of mind.
If memory care is in your future, choose the community designed for it. Choose Terra Vista of Oak Brook Terrace. Schedule a tour today at terravista.org. Again, that's terravista.org, and tell them AM 560 sent you. Terra Vista, where memory care lives.
Honey, why does it take you so long to get ready?
Oh, because I've got one tiny sink. I'm trying to balance makeup on the back of the toilet, and the mirror's always fogged up.
Sounds like a circus act.
Exactly. And I perform every morning.
At Forever Remodeling, we create bathrooms that fit your life, not the other way around. From extra storage to spa-like showers and timeless finishes, we make your mornings easier. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com.
Hey there, Chicagoland. Jeff here from Jeff Buys Your House. For many homeowners, winter can feel overwhelming. There's big bills, unexpected situations, or the stress of owning a home you no longer want. But here's the good news. You don't need to wait for warmer weather to make a change. At Jeff Buys Your House, we make selling simple. Even in the heart of winter, you don't need to fix anything, do any cleaning, and you certainly don't need to worry about unpredictable buyers. We buy houses as is, and you choose the closing date that works best for you. We've made the home selling process easy and stress-free for nearly 2 decades. That's why homeowners trust us, and why we've earned over 400 Google reviews and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. As a veteran-owned business, we handle everything with integrity and care. So if winter is weighing on you, we are here to help lighten the load. Call us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com and get your offer today.
Listen, I'm going to be straight with you. Pain doesn't just hurt your body, it cripples your life. I know this because I've seen it with people I care about. If joint pain is holding you back, start the new year by doing something different. There's a way to get real relief without surgery and without putting your life on pause. But you have to take that first step and contact my friends at QC Kinetics. They provide regenerative treatments that help your body repair the areas that are causing pain. I've talked to people who've been through this. These are real results. Achy knees, hips, shoulders, wherever it hurts, instead of facing surgery that sidelines you for months, QC Kinetics treatments happen in the office. Simple procedures that deliver big, life-changing results. January is supposed to be your clean slate month, so make it one. Stop managing the pain and start solving it. Call now to learn more. And tell them Dan Proft, that's me, sent you when you do. The number 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. Call QC Kinetics to start the year right. 312-827-6261.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Feel like you're trying to push a boulder uphill wearing skates? If you run or manage a local business today, you're challenged like never before. We get it, and we want to help. We're Salem Surround. We're a full-service marketing agency that'll help you increase your customer base by designing incredibly effective plans to reach your consumers day, night, and everywhere they might be.
Salem Surround. Meet with a digital marketer today for ideas that will make your business stand out. Visit salemsurround.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer. Chris Crocken for Dan Proft. Let's talk to Greg in LaGrange about the budget, the cuts, etc. Greg, you're on AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
When there's a particular ideology or identitarian philosophy that says we want to basically strip down our existing pillars of Western civilization, whether it be God, family, country, law and order, Constitution, which fits their narrative whenever they want to and mold it any way they want, because we know their ideology allows them to use there are words, but not our dictionary. They change the meaning of things. There is no consideration in this city and a lot of the big cities for personal safety for the individual citizen, nor property rights. And the taxpayers of this state and city and all over the place are being used as an ATM machine. We know that. Some of us are here because we need support right now. I need support right now, but I really want to get out, and it hurts. But what you see in the city has been normalized. The crime, the mayhem, it's transitory. It's horrific for a day. Somebody gets burned on the CTA train. Yep. It's a horrific crime, and then it goes away. And we see it nationally. And my disappointment is that we've all, as a country, as a whole, I'm very saddened to see that we've accepted this. And with the current administration, I don't think they accentuate the problems that we have enough. I know that they've been beaten down in some court decisions, but this should be a drumbeat every single day. To me, this administration in power at the federal level, Donald Trump, President Trump, I think that they blew a big chance at trying to get affordability down and the streets safer. They've done a lot on the border. I cannot argue with that. But you need to take care of what's going on with the citizenry in the country. And if you can't do it through the courts, you have to pound away at it every day. And our DOJ doesn't do that. Very disappointed.
Well, I will tell you this. I think that the focus on outside of the country, which I agree with most of what's been done, but the focus inside of the country has not. It's been at the expense. The success on the global stage has been great, but it seemingly is at the expense of our stateside here. And that's a big issue with a lot of people. If we don't, and I know the economy's moving in the right direction, particularly over the last couple of weeks, we've had some great news. Whether it be on GDP was huge. I mean, that was huge. But if we don't, if expenses and if revenues don't come up, I should say, salaries don't come up and expenses don't go down, we're going to get creamed in the midterms, and that's not what I want. And most of us don't want that in any way, shape, or form. All right, coming up next, we have a Kawonza event that is featured locally. It's a great moment to share the what Kawonza is and what it's all about and who founded it. That's going to be fun. Kane County State's Attorney seeking info before deciding on prosecuting ICE. That and so much more coming up. It's Chris Crocken for Dan Proft, AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. 17 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm John Cruz in the Air Right Heating and Cooling newsroom. A blustery day, winds and cold, highs only in the mid-20s. President Trump says Ukraine and Russia are close to a major deal, although all three leaders have yet to announce anything concrete. A 20-point peace plan, including land, is on the table. Overnight, Russia led its biggest attack in months. Mayor Johnson continues denouncing the latest city budget as it was passed on Saturday. Chicago's $16.5 billion budget will go into effect today. Mayor Johnson signing two executive orders last week, one preventing the city from selling debt dollars for things like city ambulance payments to a private third party. And a woman in critical condition after being pulled from the cold Lake Michigan waters late Sunday. That water rescue happening around 3 p.m. in the 3000 block of North Lake Shore Drive near Belmont Harbor. First responders found a 29-year-old female in distress. While diving crews brought her to shore. Investigators trying to figure out what happened there. This report is a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off any service, including inspections, or take advantage of limited-time federal rebates on a new furnace. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today, AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. A check of your roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Larry Elder wants facts in the argument.
It just drives me crazy whenever there is a mass shooting and the immediate call for people on the left to demand more gun control. Never, even on Fox, do you hear somebody say, well, let's also consider how often Americans use guns to save lives, themselves or others, or bodily injury. It just seems to me that should be relevant.
The Larry Elder Show, Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Sean Thompson here to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and make a difference this Christmas season. I'm talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor Program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food and water for thousands of children and their families over the years. Your business can be a part of this effort. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. That donation will help more than 30 kids for the entire year. And when you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air right here, Monday through Friday, from 5 in the morning till 8 in the evening, prime time. And all you have to do to take advantage of this deal is call one of the best guys there is at the company, John Gallagher. You can reach him at 847-472-8950. Once again, that's 847-472-8950, 847-472-8950, or go to 560theanswer.com/food for the poor. Hi, this is Sean Thompson. The roller coaster. No matter your age, no matter the amusement park, it never ceases to bring the emotional goods, the anticipation, the excitement, and then the fear and the adrenaline rush that comes from the king of all rides. The same can be said when it comes to your retirement. Lots of questions and concerns that for some reason can feel like a roller coaster. Will you be able to continue to live as comfortably as you do now? Or will you have the complete financial independence? Or will you run out of money? How about taxes, Social Security, or health care? Tom Fortino and the team at Alpha Wealth Group can answer all of these questions and much more with their roadmap to retirement. And all you have to do is simply call 630-864-6711. That's 630-864-6711. Or online at alphawealthgroup.com. Call Alpha Wealth Group today, and let's save the fear and adrenaline for the amusement park.
What if 2026 could be the best year ever for your retirement? It can, when you take control of your financial future with physical precious metals. Call Advantage Gold at 800-741-GOLD right now and get your free gold rollover kit valued at $49, yours just for calling. More Americans than ever are discovering the power of rolling over a portion of their IRA or 401k into physical gold and silver. With a simple, tax and penalty-free rollover, you can add stability, security, and strength to your retirement. In times of inflation, uncertainty, or market swings, gold has been a steady, tangible, proven store of value. And in 2026, it could be the key to building the retirement you've always imagined. That's why so many people trust Advantage Gold, the #1 rated gold IRA company in America for 10 years running. Call 800-741-GOLD to get your free gold rollover kit. Call 800-741-GOLD and let 2026 be the year you finally take control. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-741-GOLD.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman. Listen Saturday mornings at 8. Learn more at willsave.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. We're at stop and go now on the Kennedy inbound between North Avenue and Division Street because of a crash, taking down 2 left lanes. Also slow in the express lanes inbound between Division Street and Ohio Street. Now it is 24 minutes inbound from O'Hare to the Byrne Interchange. Outbound is 22. The Eisenhower is just 14 minutes both ways from Wolf to the Old Post Office. And you've got 17 minutes in both directions on the Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore. Inbound on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, no delay at all, 12 minutes. Outbound is 11. Just a little bit slow northbound on Lakeshore Drive as you head into Hollywood Avenue. This report is a service of Blindster.com. Need new blinds? At Blindster.com, they offer guaranteed low prices, guaranteed satisfaction, free samples, and free shipping. At Blindster, they take the fear out of ordering custom blinds, shades, and shutters so you can do it yourself and save big. Blindster.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly cloudy, windy, and significantly colder. We can expect periods of snow in the morning, accumulating a coating to an inch, with a few flurries later in the afternoon. Be cautious as any heavier snow showers could swiftly create slippery road conditions and reduce visibility. The high temperature for today will be 26 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Crockett for Dan Proft. He's back after the holidays. Kane County State's Attorney seeks info before deciding on ICE incident charges. I love this. All about Elgin. Ever since I was a wee lad in community college in the early to mid 90s over at Harper College in Palatine and then at Western Illinois University, Elgin has always been a bastion for illegals, and it still is, obviously. Now comes the King County State's Attorney, Jamie Moser, I guess, or Moser. She has asked Elgin police to investigate complaints. She is considering filing charges against ICE agents. Yes. She wants Elgin police to further investigate complaints filed on December 6th from ICE enforcement operation, which bystanders were pepper sprayed. Gee, could this be the crowd that encircled ICE and harassed them when a standoff took place with an illegal for 6 hours, you think? She says the cases center on aggravated battery and criminal trespass to a residence. Good luck with that. She says there's more investigation that definitely needs to happen. Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah. Elgin police received 11 complaints stemming from an ICE operation December 6th when a car crash occurred. They tried to take a man into custody. He was able to flee. His vehicle barricaded himself inside of an apartment. 6-hour standoff ensued. Large group of protesters gathered. So there you go. You heckle, you harass, and you want to play, you might get some party spray. ICE released a statement saying the man was a member of a Venezuelan gang, probably Tren de Aragua, or some would say Tren de Arugula. Homeland Security issued a news release in which they accused Elgin police of not protecting agents from protesters throwing rocks and bottles. Oh, I'm not surprised. State Attorney Moser said, or Moser, whatever her name is, said in a decision on charges will be made after additional investigative work is done, possibly by the end of the year. She's not heard of any cases being filed against federal immigration agents, but she will not hesitate. You know, we talked about this. There was a write-up in the Contrarian, and there was also a write-up separately by Victor Davis Hanson, around the same time. But they were totally unrelated, but it was both the same thing, saying this is just like the Civil War. This is why we fought a Civil War, for the Supremacy Clause. And there's no difference between a Governor Wallace or folks firing on Fort Sumter to start the Civil War. There's no difference. You got Nancy Pelosi telling San Francisco police that should be arresting ICE agents. And as Victor Davis Hanson put it, so you got an officer, a San Francisco police officer with Kevlar vest, uniform, and shotgun in his hand, and he's going to go up to an officer with ICE with a Kevlar vest and a badge as well, and guns on him, and you're going to have one try to arrest the other. Mm-hmm. If charges are filed, this is a pipe dream, but I love reading this, how stupid it is. If charges are filed, the State's Attorney's Office would need cooperation from the federal government. A John Doe case might have to be filed and a federal subpoena issued to obtain a person's identity. It would be me going against the federal government, essentially, State's Attorney said for Kane County. A Democrat, of course. She knows many communities, including Elgin, have passed ordinances, and this is my favorite, have passed ordinances and resolutions limiting federal immigration access to city property and urging the state to take more action. Yes. So when ICE is going after an illegal, And there's a sign that says no federal immigration. Yeah, it's going to work. Ooh. It was Morton Grove's own mayor who said, I love the illegals too, but this ordinance you're trying to pass, you do realize it's useless and toothless. There's nothing we can do. It just makes you feel good. Yes, but we still want to pass it, said the crazy leftist, pro-illegal people. And this is another really funny part. The Kane County State's Attorney saying that one thing she would like to see is federal agents being required to contact local law enforcement about when and where they're going to do immigration enforcement so local police can set up a perimeter and protect anybody who gathers. Yes. ICE is going to call the Elgin police and tell them where they're going to be doing an operation. Yes. And then when they show up, there'll be no illegals there. Oh, I wonder why that happened. Meanwhile, did you know we're still in Kwanzaa? Happy Kwanzaa. This from the Chicago Sun-Times yesterday, a Bronzeville Kwanzaa event. We're carrying on a legacy, they say. The Sun-Times tells you that the Kwanzaa holiday was created in 1966. It takes place annually from December 26th to January 1st, Kwanzaa. And what are they teaching people at this Kwanzaa thing? That they're victims if they're black. A black neighborhood in Tulsa, Oklahoma, they talked about, destroyed following a race massacre in 1921. So we're going back 104 years to continue to tell you you're a victim. Another person says we're trying to recover from all these harms that have been inflicted. Yes, by your Democrat black mayor, your Democrat, heavily minority city council, your, at all. You name it. They're all coming for you. Unfortunately, there's a lot of individualism in America, said another. Yes, there is a lot of individualism. That's why we're a great capitalistic society while we have it. Another person says, a 13-year-old said, it's just like how it's talking more about our culture. More separatism, I guess. Anyways, since we are in the middle of Kwanzaa, I wanted to take a moment to mark Kwanzaa and wish you a happy Kwanzaa. We need to know about the history of Kwanzaa, very important while we're celebrating it in earnest. Maulana Karenga, which his real name is Ronald McKinley Everett, the founder of Kwanzaa in 1966, convicted felon. He was a convicted felon, he is. In 1971, he was convicted of felony assault and false imprisonment in a case involving severe torture of two black women. Happy Kwanzaa. Who were members of his black nationalist organization called U.S., as in United Slaves. That's what the acronym stands for. The women were allegedly stripped naked. Now, I don't know if this is part of Kwanzaa celebrations. I certainly hope not. The women were allegedly stripped naked, beaten with electrical cords and a karate baton, whipped, burned with a hot soldering iron, including burning in the mouth and against the face. Had detergent and hoses forced into their mouths. One had a toe crushed in a vice. The founder of Kwanzaa, Karenga, was sentenced to 1 to 10 years in prison, served 4 at California's men's colony. His response? He has declined to discuss the case in detail with reporters and omits it from his official biographies. I think a great way to celebrate Kwanzaa is to sit around and tell stories about their dear founder and torturing black women that he did. We got to make sure that's in that whole bio. Happy Kwanzaa. Let's pray that others aren't celebrating in the ways that the founder celebrated and made up this whole thing. Happy Kwanzaa to you. What else? We got more here, but let's see here. Oh, my gosh. Let's pop on one quick call here. Let's go to Lee in Hammond, Indiana. Lee, you're on AM 560, The Answer.
Yeah, hi, Chris. Yeah, in reaction to these whacked-out judges and prosecutors on the left that wanted to go after ICE, this demonstrates the idiocy of these people. They react to what they see on the 5 o'clock news, but they don't think about the dead bodies in the street due to fentanyl poisonings, or the children that are trafficked due to these gangs, or the people living in these neighborhoods that are afraid to go catch a bus because they might get shot by a gangbanger from Venezuela.
I appreciate your call. Well said, my friend. Hey, stand by. Coming up next, who are the biggest share of Illinois' diversity preferred contract group? Hint, it's not minorities. It's Chris and Verdan, AM 560, The Answer.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Your local State Farm agent, Anthony DeGrotto, combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hey all, Jim Carr here. I am the owner of Carr Machine and Tool in Elk Grove Village and loyal customer of Signature Bank. As a second-generation owner, I knew I had to shift from operating as an old-school machine shop to what I can proudly say is now one of the fastest-growing aerospace manufacturing facilities in the region. Signature Bank was there every step of the way through our expansion efforts, including financing our new state-of-the-art facility. Their valuable industry expertise and constant communication throughout the construction process made our vision possible. Many thanks to Signature Bank for supporting Carr Machine and Tool. You set the bar high for other banks.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Well, that was a surprise. The HVAC tech just said our furnace apparently has a cracked heat exchanger, and it'll cost thousands.
Oh, you're kidding. He barely looked at it. Now he's pushing a huge repair? What should we do?
I don't really trust them. We need a second opinion. My brother Mark recommended Air Right Heating and Cooling. I looked them up, and they seem legit. Great Google reviews. I'm sure they'd give us an honest assessment. He liked that they checked their carbon monoxide readings so he knows the air they're breathing is safe. And I guess it also gave a sense of how much life was left in their furnace.
I'd love that peace of mind. Plus, why spend a fortune on something we might not even need?
Get a second opinion from Air Right Heating and Cooling. Tell them AM 560 sent you and get $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling right now at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
You know me. I believe in freedom, independence, and the values that built this country. Now, I'll be the first to say President Trump has taken the steps towards reviving our economy. But inflation, trade deficits, and global uncertainty are hitting hardworking Americans where it hurts. Here's the truth. I refuse to let these hidden forces decide my future. That's why I help protect my wealth with real assets, physical gold and silver. For generations, these metals have held value no matter who's in office or what the markets do. To me, gold and silver mean independence, not just for today, but for tomorrow. If you want the peace of mind I've found, it's time to take action. I've partnered with the #1 rated precious metals company, Goldco, and right now they're offering first-time buyers a rebate of up to 10% in bonus silver on qualified accounts. Visit LaraLikesGold.com to learn how you can help safeguard your savings with gold and silver the way I do. That's LaraLikesGold.com.
Every so often in medicine, something comes along that is truly revolutionary.
Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, former orthopedic surgeon, now National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
I believe this is one of those things.
Dr. Scheinkup is talking about regenerative medicine, something he's practiced, researched, and written about for nearly 2 decades.
The old ways of dealing with joint pain, such as steroids and surgery, are no longer the best ways.
If you have pain from arthritis or injury, you owe it to yourself to learn more about this exciting option, using your own body's natural power to get lasting relief. And there's no better place to learn than QC Kinetics.
There is no one in this country today with more clinics, more satisfied patients, more advanced protocols, or more experience in using this exciting option to deliver life-changing results.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. 312-827-6261.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Don't risk losing the news, sports, and weather that AM radio delivers. When cell and internet service fail, AM is your lifeline. With time running out, your voice matters. Text AM to 39179 and tell Congress vote yes on the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act to keep AM radio in cars.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Crock in for Dan Proft. White business owners are the biggest share of Illinois Diversity Preferred Contract Group from the Center Square. The state's Commission on Equity and Inclusion has been unable thus far to reverse the trend that began when it switched to a new computer software last year, which was meant to streamline the state certification process. At the time of the switch, there were about 5,000 certified businesses. Now the number is almost dropped in half. Black-owned businesses had long been the largest share of the group. Now, businesses owned by white women are. The president of the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce says the computer problem is so egregious, somebody must have chosen the software to deliberately kneecap the state's diversity efforts. Hey, who is the computer vendor that was selected for this whole new thing? A minority-owned business. DEI is killing itself with incompetency. Isn't that grand? I will see you tomorrow. Until then, it's Chris Crock from AM 560, The Answer. This is WIND Chicago.
From trying to stop the war in Ukraine to trying to keep the peace in Gaza. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's on President Trump's agenda. In about 3 hours, he'll host Israel's prime minister at the Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida, where he held talks yesterday with Ukraine's leader Volodymyr Zelensky.
It's unresolved, but